You see these blades? They have notched corners to make your cutting experience smoother. Ooh! The front edge notch helps with separating blades during manufacturing, while the trailing edge notch helps the blade glide easily. And a fun fact, that notch on the front also helps you spot unused sections of the blade, just a little visual indicator to make your life easier. When it comes to silver versus black blades, they're both made from the same stuff. But black blades are sharper and are better suited for cutting through tough materials, while silver blades strike a balance between cutting power and durability. If you want that extra cutting oomph, go for black. Oh, almost forgot. The only thing those blades aren't meant to cut is food. It has a rust-proofing oil coating, which is not safe for humans. Check this one out. It's totally giving me childhood vibes. Now, I remember my grandma having tomato-shaped pincushions just like this, and sometimes they would look more like a salad, with a little pepper thrown in there. Well, believe it or not, this salad actually has a purpose. The tomato keeps your pins in place, while the pepper keeps them sharp. Those peppers are filled with sand, which helps keep your pins nice and sharp. And it's not just sand. Crushed walnuts can also be used to keep your pins in tip-top shape. Now look at this multiple pocket tool and this little hook on it. It's a bit of a mystery, but it's actually pretty handy. I counted at least 4 different applications. 1. You can use it to carry all sorts of awkward stuff, like camping gear or heavy parcels. 2. Need to twist some wire or play around with knots? The parcel hook has got you covered. 3. This hook can save the day with those stubborn zippers, like the ones on your luggage. 4. It's great for pretending to be a budget version of Captain Hook. If you know more applications, let me know in the comments. Apple users, with this feature, you'll never get laundry surprises again. Now, I bet you've had this situation at least once in your life. You wash your stuff, and when you take it out of the washing machine, the size seems to only fit your cat. Your iPhone camera can actually translate those funky laundry symbols for you. There are 2 requirements though. You must have iOS 17, and your phone must be in English. Take a photo of the care label, go to the Photos app, and see the details of the image. Everything will be automatically decoded and explained to you. Now, many toasters come with nifty removable crumb trays at the bottom. It's super important to give these trays a good clean every now and then to keep your toaster running smoothly and avoid any potential fire hazards. Just pop them out, shake out the crumbs, and you're good to go. Where you shake them out is up to you. Those little compartments on your gas pump aren't just for show. They're actually there to hold your cap while you're filling up. This nifty feature keeps things tidy and prevents any spills or drips on the handle. So, say goodbye to messy refueling experiences and hello to a cleaner pump. Plus, it makes the whole process way more convenient and efficient. Now, I'll bet your oven gets so greasy and dirty sometimes that you can even hear it oink. Just kidding. I know you're a tidy person. Anyway, if you're looking for a way to bring your kitchen cleaning to a whole new level, here's a tip for you. Most oven doors have handy latches that let you pop the door off for easy cleaning, saving your poor back from the strain. When you're draining noodles or potatoes, there's no need to bother transferring everything to a colander in the sink. Just throw the colander right into the pot, hold it down, and pour the liquid out. It makes life so much easier, especially when you want to save that starchy water for recipes. It's a must for authentic pasta, by the way. So let's say you've snagged this gem at a thrift store a while back for just under $1. It's seen better days, serving as an ashtray, but you decide it's time to give it a new lease on life. Here's the lowdown on how to make it shine again. Mix up a solution of boiling water, baking soda, and table salt in a bowl lined with aluminum foil. Let the piece soak for about 15 minutes and repeat this process 3 times. In between soaks, gently scrub any rough spots with a microfiber cloth. After the final soak, dry the piece off and rub on some toothpaste, baking soda, and peroxide. Buff out any remaining tarnish with a clean, dry microfiber cloth. Rinse it off, and now your piece is practically gleaming like a mirror. These aluminum foil boxes have nifty little tabs on the sides that make it super easy to grab a sheet without any hassle. It's like a fancy little bonus that makes the product a breeze and ensures you'll have a smooth sailing experience every time. Manual can openers often come with a handy built-in feature, also known as a bottle opener. It's like getting two tools in one. But did you know that this bottle opener actually has another useful function? It can help you loosen those stubborn, hard-to-open jars. Simply lift the lid slightly at a couple of points with the bottle opener, and then watch it as it effortlessly twists right off. Yeah! Okay, I just found that, apparently, you're supposed to save the first and last slices of a loaf of sliced bread for last. It's like a bread hack or something. Apparently, those end pieces help keep the rest of the bread fresher for longer, and you shouldn't eat them until you've devoured the rest of the loaf. So, next time you're making a sandwich, save those heel slices for the very end. Even bread eating needs a good strategy. Now look at those blue levers on the top rack of your dishwasher. I was curious about them too, and it turns out they're actually water bottle sprayers. They help to ensure that your bottles get a thorough cleaning and rinse during the wash cycle. Many vegetable peelers have those little scoops on top for taking out the eyes from potatoes. And here's a cool tip. You can actually use vegetable peelers in both directions to peel faster, but most people just stick to one direction. When using yellow mustard, make sure to push the lid of the bottle all the way open until you hear a satisfying click. This way the lid will stay securely in place and won't get in the way when you're dispensing the mustard onto your food. It's a simple step that can make your condiment experience hassle-free and enjoyable. So there. You know that little hole at the end of your pot or pan? Well, it's not just for show. You can actually use it as a handy holder for your forks and spoons. Next time you're cooking up a storm in the kitchen, just pop your utensils in that convenient little hole and keep them close at hand. Okay, just a heads up to remember to switch the direction of your ceiling fan for the changing weather, and to give it a good clean too. I've seen that a lot of folks found it helpful before to reverse the fan's direction by flipping a switch for different seasons. So this is just a friendly reminder to go ahead and do it again, pushing hot air down and pulling cold air up. When you're chowing down for some pizza, just tear off the top of the box and use it as a big old plate. You can even rip the box in half and fold it to save some leftovers for later. Well, that's it for today. What, you want to know more cool facts? Sure, but you'll have to subscribe and hit the bell to get more videos. I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Trains used to make people mad. During the Victorian era, there was this rumor that the swaying motion of train carriages made passengers, especially men, go a bit crazy, leading to some strange and dangerous behavior. The so-called railway madness was supposedly triggered by the noise of the train. To make things worse, carriages were locked for privacy reasons back then, so people found themselves stuck in tiny spaces with lunatics who could snap at any moment. If you see someone putting ketchup on some car, it doesn't mean you're witnessing them preparing a prank. It means they're just taking care of their car. Yup, it goes great with hamburgers and hot dogs, but it goes even better with cars since it has ingredients that are good at removing rust. Rust occurs when the metal gets exposed to moisture, oxygen, and heat, and due to weather conditions, it's hard to avoid it. When you leave rust for a longer time and don't deal with it, it will continue to degrade the metal. So, you need to get rid of it before your car becomes physically useless. That's when ketchup comes in. Its key ingredient is tomatoes, and they have many nutrients similar to those you can find in oranges and some other citrus fruits. For instance, citric acid can help you remove rust from metal surfaces since it eats through rust. We're not talking about the cars only. You can use it on metallic kitchenwares, furniture parts, jewelry, and rust spots on generally any metallic item. You can combine it with washing soda. It's not quite effective against rust, but when you combine it with ketchup, It'll do the work. Mix these two and apply them to the rusted area. Leave it like that for about half an hour and wash it with a wet cloth or sponge. You can combine ketchup with salt instead, or just apply a lot of it on the rusty area without using any additional ingredients. Ketchup removes tarnish from brass copper too. Put it on brass hardware on doors and cabinets, or some accessories such as bowls and candlesticks for 10 minutes to make it all shine. And also, you don't put it on meat just because of taste. Ketchup breaks down its fibers, which means it makes it more tender. Locking handles as we know them were only invented relatively recently, in 1878. Before that, people had to get pretty inventive to secure their homes. Most folks used a latch string. They'd make a small hole in the door, thread a leather thong or string through it, and then loop it around a wooden bar. Even after doorknobs were invented, only the wealthy could afford a proper lock and key. Vacuum cleaners had a rough start too. The first one was invented in 1901, but it was so huge that it wouldn't fit inside houses. Instead, vacuuming was offered as a mobile service. The machines were parked outside, and long hoses were fed through the windows. And to get to the client's house, these large cleaning machines were actually pulled by horses. Back in the day, animals even used to pull strollers. Yep, with kids inside. The stroller was first developed in 1733 for the daughters and sons of a British nobleman who might have been a bit too lazy to walk with them every day. So, the first model was basically a shell-shaped basket on wheels that could be pulled by a goat or a small pony. This small chariot was cute, but probably not the safest way to get around. Refrigerators also used to be a bit scary. From the late 1800s until 1929, they used toxic gases like ammonia, methyl chloride, and sulfur dioxide to cool things down. People were so concerned about gas leaks that they began leaving their refrigerators in the backyard instead of keeping them in the kitchen. This danger even inspired Albert Einstein to create a new model. In 1926, Einstein and his former student Leo Szilard invented a refrigerator with no moving parts, using safer, environmentally friendly gases to reduce the risk of toxic leaks. But it had one problem. Einstein's refrigerator was less efficient than existing appliances, so it wasn't commercially appealing. If you ever find yourself casually wandering in the forests of Estonia, don't freak out if you see some giant megaphones. These wooden, acoustic giants were set 3 hours away from the country's capital by interior architecture students. That's way cooler than the hamster roller coaster I once built for a science fair, I have to admit. More than half of Estonia is covered by woods, and they're pretty proud of this natural wealth. So it's not the first art project of this kind, and there was a winding, elevated pathway and a faceted woodland cabin. The idea of the megaphones is to crank up the natural sounds of a forest and also to serve as a rest spot for hikers. These wooden beauties are large enough to host several people. And hey, if you walk this far into the woodland, you'll be thankful for this. The students were given a task to invent some concepts of a forest library. They built the megaphones off-site and brought them to their permanent spots. They're set in such a way that sounds from 3 directions meet in the center and create a cool, natural surround sound effect. Thankfully, kitchen supplies, including our beloved grills, have come a long way. Back in the 1950s, a metalworker named George Stephen had a brilliant idea while trying to create the perfect steak. Frustrated with flare-ups and uneven cooking, he decided to cut an old ocean buoy in half. This allowed him to control the airflow better. And that's how the Weber Kettle Grill was born, changing backyard barbecues forever. Have you ever used a public bathroom in the summer in your shorts and sandals and got splashed? It happens to the best of us, so no worries. If only there was some solution to this problem. Perhaps a urinal with a small hole so no liquid goes where it shouldn't. Looks pretty yucky and painful to me. An assistant professor at the University of Waterloo, Zhao Pen, and his colleagues came up with a way better solution for this sensitive issue. Their designs were inspired by physics and dogs. When a stream of liquid moves on a solid surface at a shallow angle, the splash is reduced, and the smaller the angle, the fewer splashes you'll see. You can even minimize them to a 0. And when dogs do their business, they lift their hind legs and do it on the vertical surface of a tree or a wall. I don't know if they actually care about it, but this does reduce the splash. Good job, Pluto. Talking about that, here's a fun challenge for your next family gathering. Ask everyone to fold a piece of paper in half, then in half again, and keep going for a total of 7 folds. Spoiler alert, they probably won't succeed. That's because each fold makes the paper thicker and thicker. In fact, if you had a huge sheet of paper and folded it in half 50 times, it would end up being about 62 million miles thick, which is about 2/3 of the way from Earth to the Sun. So yeah, it's impossible. The current record is held by a high school student named Brittany Gallivan, who managed to fold a single piece of paper in half 12 times, and it was a tissue paper. The USB symbol, looking like a trident, has always sparked multiple speculations about its origin. One popular idea is that it represents Neptune's trident and symbolizes power and adaptability. But there's also a little bit less exciting theory. A man who claimed to have designed the symbol in the 1980s stated that it was supposed to represent connectivity. The large circle symbolizes a computer, while the attached shapes, the circle, the triangle, and square, stand for different outputs. Look closely at a tram's overhead lines, and you'll see that its contact wires zigzag back and forth instead of going in a straight line. That's because all trams have pantographs attached to their roofs. The upper part of the pantograph is gradually worn down by the overhead wire and eventually needs to be replaced. To wear it down evenly, the wire is not installed strictly along the tram's path, but in zigzag patterns. As the tram moves, the pantograph slides along the wire, and it wears down evenly. Those cone-shaped water cooler cups? Their shape is intentionally designed to prevent users from setting the cups down. This allows employees to minimize the risk of spilling water on their desks around various electronic devices. Plus, less material is used to produce cone-shaped cups, which makes the process less wasteful and more cost-effective. It also kinda supports sustainability by encouraging people to drink their water quickly and dispose of their cups immediately after. You're probably wearing a YKK product right now. I mean, go check the zipper on your jeans. Yep, that's it. YKK stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha, a Japanese company that makes roughly half of all the zippers in the world, producing over 7 billion zippers each year. Originally called hookless fasteners, they became known as zippers after a pair of rubber boots that could be fastened with a single zip became popular in 1923. The name stuck because of the high-pitched zip sound they make when used. Despite a popular myth, household batteries don't actually contain liquid, and if you accidentally cut them open, no toxic liquid will spill. Most of them are dry cell batteries, which are made of electrochemical cells. Those convert chemical energy into electrical energy. Larger batteries often house numerous small cells within them too. Even Tesla vehicle batteries consist of multiple small cells. When combined, they easily provide the necessary voltage. Did you know that nail polish used to be a status symbol? In ancient Egypt, queens like Nefertiti and Cleopatra were famous for their red nails, while lower-ranking citizens were only allowed to wear pale shades. You'll probably agree that there's no better snack than a pack of chips. Some are flat, others have ridges. Is it just aesthetics? Not really. The main purpose of those lines on some kinds of chips is to help with the distribution of spices and seasonings. In other words, all those substances that make your chips taste like cheese are mostly stored inside the lines. Plus, the lines make chips crunchier. This item here was also popular in ancient Egypt. What looks like a weird bench was actually a weird type of pillow. Back then, headrests were made from materials like wood, ceramic, and stone. Unlike our comfy pillows today, those ancient ones were used to protect people's hairstyles. That way, their hairdos stayed neat, even though they had a very uncomfortable night. If you've left a pot on the stove and your food burned, once again, take ketchup. Its acids will ease all the scrubbing and help you with grease. Just leave it over the night and you'll be able to wash the pot more easily. Or keep those small packages of ketchup we all end up having from fast food orders in the freezer. The ketchup won't be as hard as an ice cube as it freezes. So it will be good for soothing insect bites or similar things. For 8 centuries, forks were considered cursed and nearly forbidden in the West. The first models were used by the elite in the Middle East and the Byzantine Empire, and they made their way to the West in 1004, thanks to a noblewoman named Maria Agrippina. People were pretty shocked by it, to say the least. So when she passed away just 2 years later, everyone blamed the fork, thinking it was some kind of divine punishment. By the way, its name comes from the Latin word furca, which means pitchfork. Next on our list is Nike's iconic moon shoe, but I'm talking about the unique pattern of its sole. Back in the 1970s, Nike co-founder Bill Bowerman was making waffles for breakfast with his wife when he had a sudden idea: to pour a plastic material called polyurethane into the waffle iron. The machine was ruined, of course, but I guess it was worth it since that's how the first Nike waffle trainer was born. I mean, its sole. That clear fluid in gel pens is called the ink follower or stopper fluid. The gel in such pens contains pigment particles dissolved in a polymer solution. The main task of the stopper fluid is to be a barrier to prevent the gel from evaporating or leaking out. Without this transparent fluid, your gel pen wouldn't function. The fluid always stays in one position and doesn't get dissolved with the gel. Neither does it move backwards or flow out of the pen. Let's move on to another favorite snack: popcorn. These days, cinema and popcorn go hand in hand, but it wasn't always this way. In the 1920s and 1930s, movie theater owners were hesitant to allow snacks in their theaters. They were worried about the mess and the crunching noises interfering with movies. Plus, popcorn used to cost only 5 to 10 cents, so they didn't see any financial benefit. But savvy street vendors saw a big chance. So they got their own popcorn machines and started selling them outside theaters. That's why popcorn probably became the original clandestine movie snack, and theater staff would even have to check if people were hiding bags of it in their coats. Have you ever helped your friends move into a new apartment in a building without an elevator? Then you're gonna love this one. Houses in Amsterdam have hooks on top. This is a medieval invention for pulling stuff up the houses. The simple tech consisting of a wheel and a rope still functions now, centuries later. Why not just use the stairs? Well, if you get inside one of those narrow Amsterdam buildings, you'll see there's hardly enough room to comfortably ascend, and you can forget about even trying to pull a table on top. Back in the medieval ages, pretty much like now, only rich people could afford housing around the canals in the best parts of the city. Those people were mostly traders and used the canals for their business. They stored goods in the same houses they lived in, and with regular floods, they had to find a way to keep the goods dry. And that's why they needed to invent something to lift furniture, goods, boxes, instruments, and food on the upper floors, and pull it in through fully open, wide windows. The lifting tech is one of the reasons the houses in Amsterdam are leaning forward. This position helped keep both the lifted stuff and the walls and windows safe during transportation. They didn't have to touch each other. The gables also assisted in the process and had to be made firm to withstand all the heavy weight. And in case you're wondering what gables are, they're sections of wall between the edges of a dual-pitched roof, typical for Amsterdam. Sticking with old-school fun, it's time to talk about cards. So, have you ever wondered how many times you need to riffle a deck to shuffle it completely? The answer is 7 times, according to math. Even cooler, if you shuffle a deck right, you're probably creating a unique order that's never existed before and never will again. And if you have a deck at hand, check out the 4 kings. You'll notice that the King of Hearts is the only one without a mustache. He's not special or anything. I mean, he also used to have a mustache, but it was lost in the reproduction of the original design. Your home has more regular things that can do magic tricks. Like if you have a house or a big terrace and want to make a nice flower wall. Try old mattress springs. Just hang them on the wall and let your imagination run wild with flowers. An old flower sifter can still come in handy, for example, as a planter. Even if you don't have one, you might find it at a garage sale or a thrift store. Wallpaper is making its big comeback when it comes to home design. Maybe you can try something different and use some old books with torn pages. You just need to learn the basics of hanging wallpaper, and voila! You get a new cool place for your old books. There's a solution for the remains of an old book. Don't worry. You can have blocks where you'll keep your kitchen knives. It's pretty original, don't you think?
Solitaire was probably everyone's go-to game to pass the time back in the 1990s, but its original purpose was far from it. When developers created this game, their idea was to teach people how to use a computer without them even realizing it. For example, dragging and dropping cards into one place helped people learn how to move files into folders. The same goes for Minesweeper, which was designed to help people get used to using a mouse and clicking.
Cleaning blinds can be frustrating, but the next time you do it, try doing it with a sock over your hand. Hands are kind of perfectly shaped for getting all those nooks and crannies on the blinds, and the sock will do the rest. Here's something you wouldn't expect. Ice cubes can help you remove gum from carpet, clothing, and hair. Just put your clothes in the sink and add ice cubes. Leave it like that for a while. Ice will freeze the gum, so you can chip it away more easily. If the gum got stuck on the carpet, leave ice cubes right in the critical spot and remove the gum with a butter knife. It's a little bit harder to remove it from hair though, but still possible. Just wrap the ice and parts of your hair with the gum in a washcloth until the gum gets frozen. When you get there, you should be able to break apart the gum and free your hair using your fingers. Or, next time you have to deal with a splinter, just take one ice cube to numb that area before you even start doing anything.
You might have noticed that movie theater seats are almost always red. This choice isn't random. It has strategic importance, which is rooted in visual science. The thing is, red light has a longer wavelength. It means that it's the first color to disappear in low light. It allows the audience to concentrate better on the screen once the movie begins. Such a design choice enhances the viewing experience by minimizing distractions. Speed bumps are crucial for pedestrian safety, but at the same time, they can seriously increase car emissions due to the non-stop acceleration and deceleration they cause. To address this issue, some cities like London are testing fake speed bumps. Those are optical illusions painted on the road. They look raised from a driver's perspective, but in reality, they're flat. Authorities hope that this approach will slow down drivers without having a negative impact on the environment. Soda bottles are always filled in such a way that there's some space between the liquid and the cap. That's because soda contains carbon dioxide. It's a gas that can expand once the bottle's heated. If there's no gap in the bottle, it can break because of the pressure building inside. Also, when you open your drink, the gases go out in the form of bubbles, making the drink overflow. The gap helps with this problem too. If you're more into Angry Birds, Candy Crush, and other mobile games, that's totally normal. After all, more people have access to cell phones than to toilets these days. But not many of us stop to think about how disgusting our phones can be. The natural bacteria from our skin and the oils from our hands get transferred to our phones with every touch, swipe, and tap. This makes phones about 10 times dirtier than toilet seats. Yikes!
Remember moving around on those scooter boards during gym class? Or, more accurately, bashing your fingers repeatedly while holding onto the handles? Somehow they managed to be designed perfectly to cause the most finger damage as possible. But it turns out that we all miss the actual use of these handles on the slides. Guess what? They're finger guards, not handles at all. The plastic loops on the sides of the boards were designed to protect your fingers from the exact walloping that we all gave ourselves by using them wrong. See, the correct way to hold on is to slide your hands through the hole and grip the base of the board itself. This way, you'll block your knuckles from knocking into other boards and obstacles while you're having the time of your life scooting around. When you're getting out of the shower and wrapping yourself in a cozy bathrobe, which way are you supposed to tie it? This way, right? With the belt through all the loops tied around your waist? I mean, that's how all belts work. Is it a trick question? Yup. Bathrobes actually work better tied like this. Slide the belt through the first 2 loops on the front and pull it tight. It's so much easier to wrap it nice and tight. Look at this division symbol. I bet you've never put together what the little-known meaning behind the design is. It's a fraction, but with the numbers replaced by dots. Makes perfect sense, right? Why didn't any of us notice it? If you slice open an avocado but don't use it, there's a way to keep it from going brown. Store it in a glass of water in the fridge. It'll last 2 to 3 days longer. When you're microwaving some popcorn for movie night and are about to pour it from the bag into a bowl, stop. There's actually a useful feature built into the microwavable bags that barely anyone uses. Once it's all popped, the end of the bag will have a slight opening. Before you tear it open wider, tip the bag upside down and shake it. It's designed to let the pesky unpopped kernels fall out. Shake them all out, and you'll have a perfect bowl of popcorn every time. Sunblock has an unknown use that could come in handy if you ever have a permanent marker on your skin and a can of sunblock spray handy. Just spray it on the marker and wipe off. There you go. It also works on hard surfaces like your kitchen tiles. So the next time you unleash your artistic talent with a Sharpie somewhere you shouldn't, you're covered. If the batteries in your remote run out of juice, there's a hidden feature to give them a bit more life. Take them out and rub the ends together on both sides. This cleans off the connectivity points and gives the chemicals inside time to redistribute. This means you've got more time to run to the store to buy more batteries. Look up. See your ceiling fan? Okay, if you don't have a ceiling fan, just go with it and imagine you do. Well, it has a hidden feature that you probably don't know. It might be a switch on the fan itself or a button on the remote, but most fans have the ability to change directions. And there's a reason you really want it to. In winter, you want it to spin clockwise, which pushes all the hot air from the ceiling down. In the summer, you want to spin it counterclockwise to pull the cool air that pulls around the floor up to circulate around the room. This next one's a huge deal. Your microwave probably has a silent mode. Yeah, that's right. All your 3 a.m. burritos that you heated up with your finger hovering over the stop button to hit it 1 second before the timer went off could have actually been a lot less stressful. It depends on the mode, but by either pressing or holding the 0 or 1 button, you should be able to activate the silent mode. Now you can microwave to your heart's content anytime. Those springy door stops at your baseboards that make the boing sound aren't just door stops. They're also door holders. By holding them down and opening the door over them, the spring latches onto the bottom of the door and locks it open. Yeah, we all missed that one. Did you know you've probably been putting on your running shoes wrong? See, there's a small hole at the top where the laces end that's called a heel lock. Can you guess what it does? Yeah, it locks your heels. That way, they don't slip around and give you a blister or slide your sock down, which is just the worst feeling, isn't it? So what you're supposed to do is loop each lace into its heel lock hole, which creates a small loop. The opposite lace then goes through that loop. Tie your laces tight just like you normally would, and whoa, your heels are secure. Speaking of shoelaces, if you accidentally knot them so well that even you, with your incredible muscles, can't undo them, there's a common baking ingredient that has a hidden feature that can help. Yep, you heard me right, a baking ingredient. Cornstarch can make your gravy thicker, or it can untie stuck knots. It's so talented! Just sprinkle it on any knot, coating it completely, and it will slide free easily. It works on necklaces, ropes, yarn, etc. It doesn't work on knots in your muscles, though, unfortunately. But hey, you can always give it a try. Uh-oh, did you put on your friend's ring without thinking how much smaller their hands are than yours? And now it's stuck. Just grab a bottle of Windex, my friend. Yup, Windex cleans your windows, of course, but it also has a neat little secret talent at removing stuck rings. A little spritz, and that bling will slide right off. Cool, huh? Why has no one ever taught us that? Let's say you're writing something in pencil, like an exam, but whoops, you forgot your eraser. Strangely, you didn't forget to bring your bread to the test. So you've got that, which is all you need to clear up that mistaken answer you just wrote down. Roll the bread up tightly until it has a texture best described as, well, eraser-like. Then go at it, erasing like you normally would. Why have the bread makers been hiding this from us? This could have been useful in so many situations when I brought bread to my school exams. If you wear leather jackets, first off, you're cool. Second off, you're probably missing out on a hidden feature that's not so hidden and is actually in plain sight. The straps on the top of the shoulders of your jacket aren't just for decoration. If you unbutton them while you slide on the straps of your bag, you can clip them shut again over your bag straps, locking them in place. No matter how many jumping jacks or cartwheels or breakdancing head spins you do, your bag is not going anywhere. When you need to wrap up some leftovers, tin foil is your friend. But it also has a place in the laundry room because of this secret use. Imagine you run out of dryer sheets. Your clothes come out of the dryer full of so much static that they make your hair stand up straight like a cartoon evil scientist's. Here's what you need to do. Crush up 2 sheets of tin foil into tight balls. Throw those clothes back in the dryer with the balls and give them another round. They'll come out static-free. After you make hard-boiled eggs, they're in hot water. Some would say boiling hot. So how do you get them out easily without reaching in? A whisk. Push it over the egg and it will pop into the wire cradle. Now you can pull it right out with ease and comfort. The colors of the clips on bread bags actually convey a secret meaning. They're showing you the day of the week that the loaf was packaged. Blue means Monday, brown means Tuesday, and white means Friday. Yeah, it's not just random colors. And most bread brands follow the same system because there's one company that supplies a lot of these clips. So when picking out the perfect loaf, you can gauge the freshness by the color.
Some men wear shoes with hidden heel lifts to look taller. Such shoes can make a person up to 6 inches taller. They look like regular shoes, but inside they have this extra insert. Sometimes such an insert is glued down. Sometimes it's removable, and you can choose the height you need yourself. When the Titanic hit the iceberg and sank sometime later, the Atlantic Ocean was around 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which means the water was below its freezing point. No wonder so many passengers didn't make it. Some birds have a row of bristles protruding from the edges of their eyelids. Those bristles can probably be called eyelashes, but while human eyelashes are modified hairs meant to protect the eye, bird eyelashes are modified feathers. Identical twins don't actually have the same fingerprints, so you can't blame your misdeeds on your sibling after all. Different factors during development in the womb, like the position of the womb, umbilical cord length, and the rate of finger growth, impact fingerprints. Earth's rotation speed is changing. It's slowing down right now while we're talking. It means that, on average, the length of the day gets 1.8 seconds longer every century. 600 million years ago, a day lasted a mere 21 hours. Most world maps are wrong. On the majority of maps, they still use the Mercator projection, which was the first developed in 1569. But this method is very inaccurate and makes Alaska look as large as Brazil, while in reality, it's 5 times smaller. As for Greenland, it looks 14 times larger than it actually is. For a map to be precise, it would need to be life-sized and round, not flat. Ants don't have lungs. They breathe through tiny openings known as spiracles. An ant may have 9 or 10 of those on each side of the body, depending on the species. The average color of the universe is poetically called cosmic latte. In a 2002 study, scientists discovered that the light coming from other galaxies averaged into a beige color that was very close to white, just like the drink beloved by many. There is such a thing as minus decibels. The quietest place on Earth is Microsoft's anechoic chamber in Redmond, USA. The level of sound there is minus 20.6 decibels. Such chambers are built out of heavy concrete and bricks and are placed on springs to stop vibrations from entering the chamber through the floor. Bananas are radioactive. Wait, where did you go? It's not that bad. Bananas are rich in potassium, so each banana is slightly radioactive due to the natural isotope potassium-40. On the other hand, your body contains around 16 milligrams of potassium-40, so you're actually about 280 times more radioactive than that poor banana. And in any case, your body gets rid of that excess potassium-40 from a banana within several hours. There's simply no such thing as a straight line. You just need to zoom in close enough and you're bound to spot some irregularities. Even a laser light beam is a bit curved. In emergencies, fish form orderly lines. For example, when evacuating through narrow spaces in dangerous situations, school of neon tetrafish queue so that they don't crash into one another or clog up the line. Scientists think that this behavior means that fish can respect social rules even in emergency situations, unlike us humans. Hippos can't swim. These animals have large bones. These bones are so big and dense that it makes hippos barely buoyant at all. So these animals don't swim. Instead, they perform something like a slow-motion gallop on the riverbed. Hippos can also sleep underwater thanks to a reflex that allows them to rise to the surface, take a breath, and sink back down to the bottom without waking up. Lego bricks can withstand compression better than concrete. A regular plastic Lego brick can support the weight of 375,000 other bricks before it breaks. Theoretically, it could allow you to build a tower more than 2 miles in height. But if we decide to scale this up to house-sized bricks, the price would be exorbitant. If you ever go to space, you can take your yo-yo with you. In 2012, NASA astronaut Don Petit took a yo-yo on board the International Space Station and used it to show some tricks. You see, a yo-yo mostly relies on the laws of conservation of angular momentum to perform tricks. And if you keep the string taut, these laws apply in microgravity too. There's a theory that claims that we sweat when we're anxious to alert the brains of other people that they're primed for that danger that's making us feel anxiety. Brain scans have revealed that when you sniff the sweat produced by a panicking person, regions of the brain responsible for emotional and social signals light up. And when you are anxious, your sympathetic nervous system produces hormones, including adrenaline, which switches on your sweat glands. There are rainbows on Venus, and they're called glories. A glory looks like a series of colored concentric rings and is caused by the interference of light waves inside droplets rather than the process of reflection, refraction, and dispersion of light, which produces rainbows. Protons look like bagels, spheres, peanuts, and rugby balls. In other words, protons come in different shapes and sizes. Their appearance changes based on the speed of quarks, smaller particles within them. If you look at the moon while being in the southern hemisphere, it will seem to be upside down, and the man on the moon will look more like a rabbit. You will remember more of your dreams if you sleep badly and wake up many times throughout the night. You're also more likely to remember your dream if someone or something wakes you up in the middle of it. Dogs tilt their heads while listening to people to pinpoint familiar words like walkies more effectively. It also helps them to understand the tone of your voice better. There's also an idea that if a dog doesn't tilt its head often, it's because it relies more on sight and less on sound. Mirrors facing each other won't produce infinite reflections. Each next reflection will be darker than the previous one, and eventually, they will fade into invisibility. Mirrors absorb just a fraction of the energy of the light falling on them, so the total number of reflections mirrors can produce is around several hundred. You can smell ants, since many species of these insects produce strong-smelling chemicals when they feel threatened or angry, or when they're being squished. Trapjaw ants release a chocolatey smell when they're crushed. and citronella ants give off a lemony odor when they're threatened. Giraffes hum when they want to communicate with each other. Researchers think that this low-frequency humming might be a form of contact call between individuals that have been separated from their herd. It can also help giraffes find each other in the dark. But the coolest thing about these magnificent animals? Some scientists think that they could sleep talk too. And a cool bonus story for you. About a marathon runner who took over 50 years to finish the race. Japanese marathoner runner Shizo Kanekuri was selected as one of the 2 athletes that Japan could send to the 1912 Stockholm Olympics. But Kanekuri shockingly disappeared during the marathon race. It turned out that after a rough 18-day-long trip to Stockholm, first by ship and then by train, the man was exhausted. During the race, he stopped running because his condition simply didn't allow him to run further. The athlete stumbled into a nearby garden party where he drank orange juice and stayed for a while to recover. Later, Kanekuri was so embarrassed by his failure that he returned to Japan without notifying anyone, including race officials. So, Swedish authorities considered him missing for 50 years before finding out that he was peacefully living in his home country. In 1967, the athlete was offered the opportunity to finish his run. He accepted. 54 years, 8 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 20.3 seconds after he started the race, he completed the marathon. It was a long trip. Along the way, the man got married, had 6 kids, and 10 grandchildren.
Did you ever notice that the toilet paper color is usually white? But this color wasn't always a favorite. In fact, colored toilet papers popped out on the shelves in the 1950s. Homeowners purchased pink, blue, yellow, green, and even black paper because these colors matched the interior. But eventually, many doctors began to associate the dye in colored toilet papers with increased health risks. Also, the dye didn't allow the colored paper to decompose as quickly when it was flushed down, which increased the risk of clogging septic tanks. This made manufacturing and retail prices too high compared to the basic white paper, and eventually, the demand began to fall. And now, let's take a closer look at these fancy patterns. Most people probably don't care about the decorations when it comes to their toilet paper. However, these patterns still exist. But why? Well, there are several opinions. Some say it's just a marketing tool. Manufacturers use pretty decor to make their products look more aesthetically pleasing, and to make customers associate their brand with elegance and a luxurious lifestyle. Another explanation is more practical. These patterns fluff up the paper, which makes it more absorbent. Speaking of fluffiness, have you ever wondered why they have such rough toilet paper in public toilets? The most obvious answer is that high-quality toilet paper is more expensive. Also, companies prefer purchasing giant rolls of low-quality paper because they can change them less frequently. This decision also helps prevent stealing. Yes, people actually steal paper from public toilets. Have you ever noticed that light switches in public toilets are usually placed outside? Well, it's not a coincidence. Construction companies do it for safety reasons because, as we all know, electricity plus water is a dangerous combination. And light switches are connected to power. Therefore, electricity literally flows through them. Of course, professionally installed switches will have a bunch of additional safety precautions. But most builders prefer not to take risks. The UK has far stricter rules for light switch safety compared to the US. That's why if you live in London, you'll probably find light switches outside the bathroom more commonly. But don't worry, most bathrooms in the US feature independent electrical circuits. This provides additional safety in case of accidental electric shock. When any change in the electrical current happens, they should shut off automatically. There are so many awesome lighting opportunities in this world. But why are the traffic lights red, green, and yellow? Turns out there's a reasonable explanation for it. Before traffic lights for cars, there were traffic signals for trains. At first, railroad operators used white color to mean go, red to mean stop, and green to mean caution. But later, they realized that white wasn't such a good idea, because bright white light could easily be mistaken for stars during the nighttime. So railway companies changed the white color for green to mean go and yellow to mean caution, because these colors are easily distinguishable from the others. And eventually, this tradition spread to traffic lights for cars and became a standard. As for the red color, it has the longest wavelength, which means that drivers can see it from a greater distance than other colors. And the color yellow was chosen as a caution sign, because it has a slightly shorter wavelength than red, but still longer than green. What's the dustiest room in your house? Usually, the answer is a bedroom. But why? Bedrooms tend to generate dust from skin cells, dust mites, and fibers from fabrics in your bed sheets, carpets, and curtains. If you have a pet, its fur and skin cells add a significant amount of dirt to this dusty party. Luckily, there are simple ways to make your bedroom less dusty. This includes making your bed every day and cleaning the area regularly with both a vacuum cleaner and water. You can try to get rid of carpets and unnecessary furniture and decor items that tend to collect dust. Also, pay attention to the quality when you buy curtains or bed sheets. The looser the fabric, the more dirt it collects. And finally, you can ban your pet from entering the bedroom. But let's be honest, you would never do that. Modern air purifiers, air conditioners, and ceiling fans can help make your sleeping area cozier, but make sure to clean them regularly. Otherwise, if your filter is dirty or clogged up with fur or any other pollutants, it won't collect new dust properly. And the dust would end up on your bedroom surfaces. Speaking of dust, did you know that you can clean the edge of a broom with a dustpan? This zigzag over here is not only for aesthetic purposes, you can use it as a comb for the bristles. Have you ever had these marks behind your ears after wearing your glasses? Sometimes it can even take them weeks to go away. Well, it's a sign that the side pieces of the glasses, called temples, are not adjusted properly for your head. In other words, they're too tight. This can cause skin irritation and even headaches. If they're bent towards the area behind your ears, they can press on the fragile part of the skull. So, keep in mind that temples should not only have the correct size, but also correct adjustment. A professional optician can easily fix this problem. It's way safer than trying to do it on your own. Box graters can be used in a horizontal position too. In many cases, it's much more convenient to grate a carrot or a big block of cheese this way. If you want to grate a soft product like goat cheese or mozzarella, you can put them in the freezer for about 30 minutes before grating. Also, there's a way to make the cleanup easier and prevent the cheese from sticking. Spray the grater with a small amount of oil before using it. And now, let's take a look at the most unpopular sides of the box grater. Have you ever used them? This side is actually designed for slicing. It's pretty handy if you want to make thin vegetable slices for your salad or pasta. Or sliced potato chips. And these tiny punched-out holes are designed for zesting or very finely grating. Graters are pretty useful for the next non-food tip. If you're on a budget, you can purchase this super cheap laundry soap. Grate a small amount and throw it right into your washing machine instead of using the regular washing gel. Did you know that you can change which way the refrigerator door opens? There are hinges over here. If you attach them on the other side, the doors will swing the other way. But before trying to do any repairs by yourself, make sure to disconnect the power source. And read the instructions for your particular model of the fridge. Have you ever noticed that there's a shiny side and a dull side to tinfoil? Many people believe that it matters which side is used up or down because the shiny side would trap the heat better. But in fact, it makes no difference at all. The manufacturing process makes the two sides look slightly different, but they both serve their purpose equally. Tinfoil can be used not only in the kitchen. Here's a little known battery hack. Let's say you're out of AA batteries. No worries, use a smaller AAA battery and a bit of tinfoil. Just insert it on one of the ends. This will work because both AA and AAA batteries carry the same amount of voltage. Did you know that Chinese takeout food containers unfold and turn into plates? All you have to do is just to disassemble it from the two sides, and gravity will do the rest. By the way, the old school name for this type of paperboard container is an oyster pail, because it was originally designed to hold oysters.
Here's how you can protect your bank card from potential fraudsters. Use a marker and cover the last 4 digits. You can also use a sticker that's easy to remove and place it over the security code. Have you had a house guest that didn't use a coaster? Get a hairdryer and hold it a couple of inches away from the stain. Blow it on medium heat for a couple of minutes to evaporate the watermark. If a faded ring remains, mix equal amounts of vinegar and olive oil in a bowl. Wipe it onto the marked area and rub it in until the stain disappears. Then wipe it off. Don't waste time scrubbing the burnt stains off the bottom of a pan. Instead, fill it with water and add 3 tablespoons of salt. Let it sit overnight as the salt dissolves the burnt marks, and in the morning, pour the water out of the pan. This way, it will be much easier to scrub all that grease off. Picture this. You're on vacation and your shirt has become all crinkled inside the luggage. You need it tonight, but the hotel doesn't have an iron. Don't panic. Hang the shirt up in the bathroom, and while you relax in a hot shower, the heat and moisture will unwrinkle your shirt. It won't be perfect, but it will get much better without any effort. The football is on, and it turns out you've run out of standard batteries. You can use a smaller battery instead that easily fits inside. Now take some aluminum foil and crunch it up. Fit it into the gap on the negative or flat end of the battery. All done. You can turn on the TV now. Once your flip-flops crack and the plug easily slips out of the hole, it's normally a sign that you need a new pair. But there's a way to extend their mileage. Push the plug back through the hole, then take a bread clip and attach it to the end. The clip will provide enough support for the plug to remain in place. You've received a package and the receipt is taped on. You've managed to detach it from the box. But how to separate the tape without ripping the paper? Hold both ends of the tape apart, and by pulling it slowly, the tape stretches and separates itself from the paper without tearing it apart. Ziploc bags are perfect to keep things dry, but it would be great if they were larger. Take 2 and turn one of them inside out. They can now connect and work as one large bag, big enough to protect a keyboard. There's no need to carry your keys in your hand when you go for a jog. Instead, put them inside your pocket, take a rubber band, then tie it around the pocket from the inside. This stops the keys from falling out. You've broken your key in the door. It's stuck. Great. Arranging for a locksmith could cost up to $100, but for a cheaper and quicker option, try using a hot glue stick. Heat the end with a lighter, and once it's warm enough to melt, push the glue into the keyhole. The melted glue will enter the available space, covering part of the key. Once it cools, it compresses and gains a strong hold of the key's end. Now, just pull it out. If you need to siphon liquid through a hose and want to avoid using your mouth, put one end in the liquid and hold the other upwards with your thumb closing the top. Now shake up and down. This jiggle motion pushes liquid upwards, a little each time. And once it reaches the top, lower the exit point and let gravity do the rest. You've left your keys locked inside the car. It's an older model with a roll-down window. You could get the coat hanger and begin the long process of finding the lock. Or use duct tape. Make about 20 2-foot-long strands. Stick them onto the window, allowing enough room for the tape to grab onto at the bottom. Then with a friend, take the ends of the tape, holding them together, and pull downwards. The force will allow the window to lower enough that you can unlock the door. While drilling long screws into hardwood, your old drill might not have enough power, leaving them only halfway in. Before the drill gives up, get a block of wax and scrape the edges of the screws with it. The wax works like a lubricant, melting as it gets warm and providing easy entry for the screw. You're out camping, but you didn't bring anything to light the barbecue. Take a small plastic bag that won't leak, fill it up with water, and close it tight, making a round bubble. Hold it over where you want to catch the light from the sun. The bag of water will work like a magnifying glass, starting up the barbecue, just as long as it's a sunny day. Missing a corkscrew or a cork breaking halfway? By using a stove lighter, heat the top of the bottle. The heat slightly expands the glass, and this forces the cork out the top. You've superglued your fingers again. Take some salt and pour it on top of your stuck fingers. Put your fingers into the water and slowly rub. The mixture will dissolve the glue and release you in no time. While hanging up a painting, it can be impossible to find that stubborn nail. Place a fork upside down and insert it so the nail is in between the middle fork teeth. The fork has provided a long arm that's separated from the wall, making it easier to slip the string of the painting over the nail. Once it's perfectly balanced, simply remove the fork. You need to put a cake into a container, but taking it out again later by lifting it up from the inside might ruin the cake. Put the lid upside down and place the cake on the lid. The base of the container is now the lid, making it much easier to access, slice by slice. Pour out water more efficiently from large jugs and bottles by swirling. This will make the liquid inside spin, creating a vortex. The vortex allows for the air to flow back into the bottle as the water pours out, much faster than the glugging alternative. There's an easier and less messy way to remove eggshells from a boiled egg. Once fully boiled, crack the shell on both ends by tapping them. On one end, pinch off the shell. Use the opened end to blow with your mouth. The force of air will push the flesh and expand the eggshell, forcing out the egg undamaged. When the hinges of your laptop break, repairing them can cost up to $300. A far cheaper fix is to buy a picture frame and tape it to the back of the screen. You've dropped a small piece of jewelry on the floor, seemingly impossible to find. Take a stocking and place it over the end of the vacuum hose. Give the area a good vacuum and check the end periodically. You will eventually find it sitting at the end. You've drilled a hole in the wall, but the drill hole is now too wide. Remove the screw and find an object that is slightly shorter and thinner. Pieces of plastic, small wires, paper clips, or even toothpicks are perfect. Place whichever item you find inside the hole. It's filled the gap enough so the screw will now re-enter securely. Taking the trash out can put you in a gross scenario of getting bin juice on you. A great way to avoid this is by placing old papers at the bottom of the bag. Now, not only does it absorb all the liquids from the food and other sources, but also helps prevent bad smells from forming within a bin. Nobody likes mosquitoes, and pesticides are pricey. A cheap alternative is to take a plastic bottle and cut the top part off from the bottom of the funnel. After removing it, turn it upside down and put it inside the bottle. Mix 2 cups of warm water with 2 tablespoons of sugar. The mosquitoes will be attracted to the formula inside and become trapped. Now just sit back and relax without getting bitten.
How many hidden features are there in your car that you have never heard of? Most cars these days have everything color-coded under their hoods. It makes it way easier to know what you need to supervise between services, like the dipstick, the oil cap, or the coolant. You can even have a look at the brake and washer fluid. Anything else that's black or gray, just leave it to the mechanics. Ever seen a snowflake light on the dashboard of your car? It's not there to let you know the winter holidays are coming if that's what you're thinking. It's actually a sensor that indicates the exterior ambient temperature. It gets activated and pops up the light whenever there's a road warning due to a sharp drop in temperature. It may sometimes even come on with an audio warning or a message on your dashboard to warn you that the roads may be getting icy, so you can either adapt the speed or change to the appropriate tires if necessary. Most cars come with added features for the summertime too, like those neat sun visors. Yours might have an added bonus you might want to check out. We all know they twist to help the driver out when the sun is not shining from the front. But some of them can also extend, so they can provide shade to a larger area. If you figure out your sun visor doesn't extend, there's a simple solution though. Buy a sun visor extender. You can even find them online. They work by being attached to your existing sun visors or windows for better shade coverage and visibility. Let's find some hidden features at home. It's not rocket science, but there is a wrong way to make ice in the freezer, and that's because you're probably not using the ice cube tray correctly. They come with that particular shape because you need to fill the trays until there's a layer of water on the top. This layer will help remove the cubes faster from the tray because it will crack when twisted and leave each cube poking out. You can then grab them in no time and enjoy your drink. If you find that the heat on your oven is too high or you need to cook some delicate dishes that require more control over the temperature, there's an easy way to adjust that. The knobs on your oven should come with calibration screws on their backs. Pop out the plastic knob and adjust it to your preferences. Be sure to disconnect the oven from any energy source before doing it. Do you know what your stove and your car have in common? They both have hoods that you can open if you need to have a peek, or if they need some cleaning. If you look closely at the top of your kitchen stove, you will see two hinges located on the back corners. You'll be able to easily lift it up and clean out all the grime that's been stuck in there. Ever wondered why glue doesn't stick to the inside of the bottle? The answer is a bit more complex, depending on the type of glue. But the simple response is, well, it doesn't have any air in there. PVA glue contains some molecules called polymers and water. When the glue is out, the water evaporates, leaving just the sticky polymers behind. Things are more or less the other way around with superglue. It has a chemical that solidifies as soon as it hits water vapors in the air. Did you know Microsoft Word has a feature that you can use for references and a bibliography? It's not only helpful for keeping track of everything, but it also automatically formats all the information accordingly. If you like to surround yourself with as many houseplants as possible, here's an easy way to figure out if they need watering. Stick your fingers into its soil. It should give you a better idea than simply looking at the plant's surface. If you can reach 2 to 3 inches into the soil and feel it's dry, the plant most likely needs some hydration. However, this trick does tend to work better with smaller potted plants because of the limited depth. In any case, it's always best to research the plant's needs in terms of watering and sunlight before committing to a plant. And always, be careful not to damage its roots. Be honest, you indeed have clothes you wear all the time and some that just sit there in the back of your closet that you've most likely forgotten about. Here's a neat way to figure out which one is which. For starters, you'll need to turn all of your hangers backwards. If you really feel like putting more effort into this project, you can wrap some pieces of electrical tape on the hangers and write the start date on each. After that, everything is pretty self-explanatory. Each time you wear a particular item, turn the hanger around, making it face forward. After 6 months or a year, all those items that have yet to be turned around should go to donations or yard sales. Another great way to use hangers to help you with your wardrobe organization is to use them for your scarves. They will be wrinkle-free, but you can also see them a lot better and have a clear view of the scarves you actually use and those you should let go of. If you're looking to increase the storage space in your wardrobe, especially when the season changes, go pick yourself up some vacuum pack storage bags. After that, you just need to fold your garments or other pieces of laundry, like bedding or blankets for example, and place them in the bags. Turn on your vacuum cleaner, place the nozzle on the bag seal, and remove all the extra air from the bag. It helps with reducing the storage size of clothes and keeps the clothes clean, dry, and moth-free. Should you have an empty basket lying around and you aren't sure if you want to recycle it just yet, you can always repurpose it as a cool lamp. Wicker baskets work best for this. Just cut a small hole in the bottom of the basket and place a pendant light kit there. You can even paint it manually, or spray paint if you need it to be in a particular color. Another way to neatly repurpose things around the house is to use leftover cookie jars to store dryer balls, but the sky's the limit here. You can also use dryer sheets to remove dust from screens around your house, like computers, laptops, or TVs. These items are electrically charged, so they generally attract a lot of dust particles. Dryer sheets are made to reduce static cling, so they won't only remove the dust but also help keep it at bay for a longer period of time. Dryer sheets also help out if you're having a bad hair day, believe it or not. They can seriously help out taming flyaways whenever your frizz just gets out of control. Run one of those dryer sheets from the roots of your hair all the way down to the tip, and be amazed. If there's a particular type of soap bar you like the smell of and want to replicate that on your clothes too, pick up one of those bars to make a day's clothes fresher. Place it in a fabric and place it anywhere between your clothes. Your shirts should smell awesome every time you pick them up. You can also save on fabric softener. I don't know about your washing machine, but mine does love to jump, I'll tell you that. If yours tends to run out of its designated place, especially during those intense spinning cycles, it happens because it's not perfectly fixed to the floor. The good thing is that most modern washing machines can self-level since they come with a pair of legs. Just lift the back of the device off the surface area it sits on, and it will drop them, locking them into place once it's perfectly leveled. Want to pour yourself a drink before we begin? Just make sure not to grab the glass with your palm. Yep, that's right. The glass has a stem for a reason. Touching the glass bowl with your hands will alter the drink's temperature, and it will get warmer much sooner. While we're in the kitchen, let's check out your fridge. Most of those come with designated areas in the door shelves for eggs, but this may not be the best solution for storing them. The temperature in the door shelves tends to be a bit higher than in the fridge itself, so it's not the best place to store delicate types of food, like eggs or dairy. Make sure to remember that after your next trip to the supermarket. Also, while we're still browsing items in the fridge, did you know that waiting for food to cool down before refrigerating it may be bad for it? Keeping food at room temperature for more than 2 hours can increase its chances of going bad. So, pop it in as soon as possible. Just make sure to divide your food into smaller batches to help it cool down quicker. What's that in your fridge I just saw? Chocolate. Well, that's a big no-no. Regardless of the season, remember to never store chocolate in the fridge. The lower temperatures inside can cause the chocolate flavor to dull. Also, who wants to eat rock-hard chocolate anyway? When it comes to breakfast, next time you boil an egg, try putting a teaspoon of baking soda into the water when boiling. The eggshells will peel off way easier. Another tip is to crack the egg on one end and run it under the tap. The water stream will help peel off the shell faster and with way less of a mess. Fan of smoothies? Bet you didn't know there's actually a correct way to load up your blender. Start with the liquids, then pile up the solids as you go. The motion created by the movement of the liquids will ensure a smooth, clump-free, delicious breakfast or snack. After that, you can clean it by simply adding some dishwashing soap and some water and letting it blend away. No need to add it to the dishwasher anymore, since the full cycle of the dishwasher can damage the metal plates on the blender. If you're ever in the mood for a peanut butter sandwich, but the peanut butter is all split with the oils on top, remember, there's a correct way to store it. Placing the peanut butter jar upside down in your cupboard will ensure the oils are spread out evenly. Love a good steak but never get a perfect consistency? You're probably digging in too soon. You have to let the meat rest after cooking for at least 10 minutes before you start cutting it. Using the right knife will also give you better results. A sharp knife will ensure you don't lose any of those lovely meat juices. It's pasta night. Ever wondered why there's a hole in the middle of the spaghetti spoon? Turns out you can use that hole to check how much pasta to cook per person. Now you know exactly how much of it to boil for that special marinara sauce of yours. When using non-stick pans, never use metal utensils. Go for wooden or plastic ones instead. The metal will be way too rough on the surface of your pans and can actually damage the non-adherent surface. Are you a leftovers for dinner type of person? Aren't we all? Quick tip for reheating your dinner in the microwave. Try spreading the food around the edges of the plate. Microwaves are indeed designed to heat food as evenly as possible, but not if the food is piled up. Ever try to take out a single Tic Tac from the tiny container? Just turn the box on its side. There's a cleverly designed slot on the plastic top precisely for that. No more shaking the Tic Tac box like a maniac. If you're up for some music but don't have a speaker around, don't worry. Placing your phone in a cup or bowl will amplify the sound and make your experience so much better. in a hurry, and your phone is running out of battery, there's a simple way to reduce the charging time. Simply set the phone to airplane mode. You'll see, it'll charge up to 100% in no time. We all keep our phones in all sorts of places, our pockets, bags, under our pillows. Hence, a lot of fuzz or lint can get stuck in the charging port. For safety reasons, turn the phone off before cleaning it. You can use specifically designed tools for cleaning the charging ports, speakers, or microphone. Just be sure to be gentle. Nice desk you got there. Did you know that those little legs on the back of the keyboard are actually there to help you see the keys better? However, if you can type without having to look at the keyboard, don't use them to lift the keyboard up. This position can damage your wrists when using for a long period of time. If you like to keep your things organized and prefer to use sticky notes, just make sure to remove them from the notes cube from side to side to prevent curling. We all feel a little overwhelmed when it comes to storage, especially linens. One easy way to make sure you'll never get mixed sheets is to store each set in the matching pillowcase. Not only will you get easy access to each set, but it's way nicer to look at on the shelves. When it comes to storing clothing, people use wooden hangers for more than just aesthetic reasons. They may be bigger and heavier than plastic ones, but they also help repel moths. Keep that in mind, more so when storing winter clothes. Were you ever curious about that one extra loophole in your running shoes? That one just next to your ankles? Well, turns out it's there for a reason. The tighter the laces on your shoes, the less likely you are to get blisters. Always fit your shoes correctly and use that extra loop in the shoes if needed before you go for a run. Your dress shirts have a tiny secret too. On the inside of the shirt, right between the shoulders, there's a tiny loop that you can use to hang the garment whenever you don't have a hanger lying around. Nothing can ruin a good vacation more than unorganized baggage. To make sure you never have to stuff your luggage with a huge pile of random clothes, instead of folding, try rolling your stuff and placing it neatly in the baggage. This way, you save a lot of space. You have easy access to everything you need, and your clothes will be less wrinkled. Not to be intrusive, but there's a bunch of things I'd like to show you in the bathroom as well. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds each time to get rid of all the germs. To save the effort, open and close the tap with your wrist if possible. There you go. Squeaky clean hands for a longer period of time. Always brush your hair from the bottom if you want to get rid of any knots. Brushing your hair from the top will only cause more damage. When it's time to wash your hair, be sure to concentrate the shampoo on the scalp. Be careful though, never to apply the shampoo directly to your head. Lather it a bit with some water between your hands before you start massaging it in. You can skip shampooing the lengths of your hair unless they're really dirty. The foam that goes down from your scalp is sufficient to clean that portion. Take good care of your loofah as well. Leaving it in a moist, warm shower can increase its chances of gathering all sorts of nasty bacteria. Either throw it in with your laundry once a week, or let it soak in a solution with diluted bleach. We're sure you always moisturize after your shower, but there's a correct way to do that too. Don't add too much cream on your face, and make sure to tap, not rub it in. Your skin will thank you for it. You don't have to be a dentist to know how important flossing is. Next time, try tying your floss in a knot. With the added tension and grip, your teeth will be cleaner in no time. Next time you follow a recipe where you need to separate egg yolks from whites, try this. Peel a clove of garlic and rub your fingers with it. Carefully break an egg into a bowl. With your garlicky fingers, pick up the yolk. And voila, you can now marvel at how perfectly it separates from the egg white. If it's egg peeling time, there are two easy ways to do it. When cooking eggs, add a teaspoon of baking soda to the boiling water. This will make peeling eggs much easier. You can also place them under cold running water as soon as they're ready. The eggshells will come off much easier, and you won't burn your hands while peeling the eggs. The sides of roads have sleeper lines for a very important reason. Their main function is to alert those drivers who doze off behind the wheel. When a car starts steering off the road, the tires go over the lines, and the sound wakes the driver up. Those price tags and labels that come glued to your Tupperware are easier to remove than you might think. No need to waste hot water and soap trying to remove them. Take a hairdryer instead. Blow some hot air directly onto the tag for a minute or so. There you go, the label comes off at once. White household appliances might get yellow with time. To make them white again, use this simple trick. Apply bleaching cream to the surface of an item. Wrap it in plastic and let it stay this way overnight. The next morning, check it out. It'll be as white as when you first bought it. When you buy a pack of cans, opening it might turn into a problem. You probably tear a hole in the plastic and try to squeeze a can out of there. But the bottom of cans was actually designed to make this part much easier. Grab a can and rub it over the top of another can from the pack. A circle the exact same size of the can will be cut out. This way, you can easily remove the new can from the pack without destroying the entire thing. Now to the art of lime squeezing. When you pick limes at the grocery store, you never know how juicy they are, and often, when you bring them home and squeeze them, almost no juice comes out. Try heating these citruses in a microwave for 30 seconds before cutting them open. You'll see that the juice will come out much easier. But be careful, they're going to be hot, and you don't want to burn your hands. If you're hanging out with your friends and feel like listening to some music but don't have a loudspeaker, there's no need to worry. Place your phone in a cup or bowl. The sound will get louder instantly. If you don't have a hanger at hand but still need to hang your shirt, this trick is for you. Most dress shirts have a tiny loop on the back between the shoulders, and you can use it to hang your shirt. How about the worst case scenario? Your phone is running out of battery and you're running late. Try this simple trick. Switch on airplane mode. Your phone will charge to 100% in no time. You can run the sticky part of a Post-it note along your laptop's keyboard. This will help remove tiny bits of food and dust that get stuck in between the keys. Avoid putting really hot food into plastic containers. Hot plastic releases all kinds of toxic chemicals, and we don't want our food to absorb that nasty stuff, right? What can be better than a bubble bath in the evening? But the bubbles are not only pretty and smell nice, they also keep the water temperature hot for longer. This way, you can enjoy a long, hot bath without getting cold too quickly. You got home craving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but your peanut butter now has 2 layers, and the oil is at the top. To avoid getting disappointed, next time, store a peanut butter jar turned upside down. Your screwdriver and wrench can work together to remove that stubborn screw. Grab your screwdriver's handle with the wrench and use it to apply more force. This method will also help you reach more difficult areas. There is a reason why your coffee stirrer looks like a straw. It has holes in it because it reduces the amount of plastic manufacturers have to use. Plus, they prevent the stirrer from floating. The holes in the stirrer get filled with coffee, which in turn makes it heavier. And speaking of coffee, you should never buy the product that is more than 18 months old. Make sure to look at the best before date when buying it. If you've ever had trouble with those classic salt and pepper shakers, the ones you may see in diners, I've got a trick for you. Instead of shaking your entire arm to try and get some salt out of the container, try rubbing the bottom of one container with the bottom of the other. Grab the salt and hold it so that the bottom of the container faces downward. Now, while holding the pepper shaker upright, rub the 2 bottom parts together, creating circular friction between them. After this, the salt will spill effortlessly. After a long day of hiking, your shoes might smell funny. Well, I've got good news for you. Put dry tea bags inside your shoes and keep them in a dry place for a while. The tea bags will absorb bad smells and make your shoes dry. If you've torn your flip-flop while taking a walk, there's a way to save the day, but only if you have a bread clip with you. First, push the strap back into its hole. Then attach the bread clip to the bottom of the flip-flop strap. Here you go! Your body needs a daily amount of vitamin C to boost your immune system. but oranges are a tricky fruit to peel. To avoid getting sprayed all over your face, start by cutting off both the top and the bottom parts of the orange. Then, cut the peel vertically. Hook your fingers under the opposite sides of the cut and open your orange. If it's difficult for you to figure out how much detergent you need to wash your clothes, here's a tip for you. Usually, detergent caps have markings that indicate the exact amount of liquid you should use per wash. It helps your detergent last longer. Permanent markers are not as permanent as you might believe they are. I can prove it. Let's say you used a permanent marker, thinking it was a regular one, to draw something on a whiteboard. Good news for you, you don't need to throw the board away yet. There's a way to save it. Get a regular marker and use it to draw over the lines left by the permanent one. Let it sit for a while so that both markers blend in together. The thing is, the ink of the regular marker contains a solvent that dissolves the pigment the permanent marker contains. Now take a paper towel and rub the whiteboard clean. The marker will come off easily. If you need to peel peaches, use the technique called blanching. First, heat up some water. Wait until it starts boiling. Soak the peaches in the water for about 20 seconds. Then put the fruit into a bowl with cold water and leave them for about 5 minutes. There you have it. The peel will come off nicely and easily. That plastic lid covering your drink can be used as a coaster. Take the lid off and put it on the table. The bottom of your cup will fit perfectly into the lid's inner ring. No more stained tables from now on. Bristles on escalators are there for safety reasons. They remain stationary while the escalator is moving, preventing people from standing too close to the sides. This helps to avoid accidents like getting your shoelaces stuck. If you pay close attention to elevator doors, you'll notice they have a small hole in them. This is a keyhole, and only authorized personnel have the key to it. They use it in emergency situations or during a regular maintenance routine.
Black stripes on yellow school buses aren't an element of design. They're actually metal rails put along the sides and the back of the bus to protect its rather thin walls. In case of a collision, they absorb most of its force. It means that the crash doesn't affect large areas. These rub rails are also positioned in strategically important spots. The lowest one runs at the floor level. The middle one matches the bottom of the seats, and the top one corresponds either to the top of the seats or the bottom of the window. Your ceiling fan can move in more than one direction for a reason. One is for summer, the other for winter. When the weather is hot, ceiling fans should move counterclockwise. This makes them pull the warm air up and push the cold air down. And the clockwise, winter mode, moves the warm air down and raises the cool air. As soon as you notice the blue bristles on your toothbrush start fading, it's a sure sign it's time to replace it. You can adjust your stapler so that it staples documents together only temporarily. It's done by rotating the crimp area. Most staplers have two options for stapling. One is standard, but the other side bends staples away from the center. Later, when you don't need them anymore, you can easily remove them by hand. Lots of people use a knife to remove strawberry stems, but this way they throw away a lot of stuff they could otherwise eat. Instead of a knife, use a regular drinking straw. Insert one end of the straw into the bottom of the strawberry and push it gently all the way through. If everything goes as planned, the straw will pop the stem out. A tiny hole in a padlock bottom helps to drain the water from an outside lock after the rain. It prevents the thing from rusting and clogging. You can also use this hole to oil the lock's hinges so that it doesn't get stuck. If a lock doesn't have this small hole, you should only use it inside. It's a bad idea to place dirty dishes covered in mashed potatoes or any other leftover carbs closer to the sides of the bottom shelf of your dishwasher. Several studies have shown that such plates get washed better when you put them in the middle of the rack. So now you know. Weird markings on the bottom of a toothpaste tube have nothing to do with the ingredients. They're actually there for the factory robots, not so they can brush their own teeth either. Such a colorful square marks the line where the tube has to be cut and folded. Now, most cotton pads have two different textures on each of their sides. One surface is firmer and more absorbent. It's supposed to be used with nail polish remover. The other side is way finer and softer. You should use it to remove facial and eye makeup. Don't peel Post-it notes off from the bottom. It'll create a crease in the paper, and the note won't stick well after that. Tear it off from the side, and it'll stick longer. When driving when it's already dark, you might get blinded by the headlights of the car moving behind yours. If you have a manual rearview mirror, find a tab at the bottom and flip it. The mirror has a reflective material behind its glass. By flipping the tab, you change the angle of this material, dimming the lights in the mirror. The whole process is even simpler if you have a power mirror. All you need to do is switch on the nighttime mode. Bath foam relieves stress, cleanses the skin, and keeps the water warm. Foam is made up of tiny air bottles. They form an insulating layer on the water surface, keeping the heat from escaping. Let's say you're reading a paper book. Then you decide to take a break and realize you don't have a bookmark. Should you leave a dog ear? You don't need to. That's what the dust jacket is for. Apparently, providing you with the information about the book and its author isn't its only purpose. Your stomach growls, and suddenly, a peanut butter sandwich sounds like a great idea. You open a jar and see quite a lot of oil sitting on the top. Duh! Time to train your arm muscles and stir, stir, stir. But if you store peanut butter jars upside down, the oil will move to the bottom and all the solids will be on top. The main purpose of the drawer under your oven isn't to store all those pots and pans. You're supposed to use this place to keep your food warm while something else is being prepared in the oven. If you don't have anywhere to put a toothpick after using it, snap off the flat end at the first groove and put it on the table. Now you can balance the used part of your toothpick on the groove part, so it doesn't have to touch the table. The correct way to break off a piece of Toblerone chocolate bar is by pushing the pointy side downward. Me? I just bite it off, but then I'm hardly ever accused of being correct. Most extension cords are known to come undone at even the slightest pull. Loosely tie them together and they'll stay connected even if you accidentally pull on them. The knot might get tighter, but nothing will get switched off. A little groove on the bottom of a cup lets cool air get underneath it. It saves glassware from cracking when a scorching beverage heats it up. And when you place cups upside down in the dishwasher, the groove prevents water from gathering in the cup's bottoms. Non-stick pans have a special coating, which makes them so great. But if you use metal utensils while dealing with such a pan, you're likely to scratch this coating. And once you do it, your pan is ruined. Food will stick to its surface and end up burned or unevenly cooked. Make your life brighter and get a Bright Side tea. Pick your own print. Just follow the link below. If you've always peeled bananas, starting from the stem, try doing it the other way around. Pinch the bottom of the banana and pull. This way, you don't have to deal with strings and mess. By the way, that's the approach monkeys use, and you don't want to argue with monkeys. Most caps on small tubes are hollow on top and have a little spike inside. Its purpose is to break the foil sticker sealing the tube. The neck of the tube fits right in this hole, and the spike is designed to break the seal. No need to struggle trying to tear the tiny foil seal off with your fingers. The more detergent you use, the cleaner your clothes are, right? Not exactly. If you add too much detergent, you can spoil your things. This will produce too many suds, and your clothes won't be rubbing against one another. And that's exactly what helps them get clean. Excess suds can also keep your washing machine from rinsing properly. Book pages are often printed on large sheets of paper rather than on small individual ones. If there isn't enough content to fill these sheets, there are blank pages left. Publishers often print the words "notes" or leave some other signs on them. This way, readers don't think it's a printing mistake. The rumble strips on the side of the road are supposed to wake up sleepy drivers who start to doze off behind the wheel. When your tires drift off onto these strips, the noise and vibration work like an alarm clock. It's a popular misconception that pumping a mascara wand back and forth allows more product to stay on it. In reality, doing this will only spoil your mascara. By moving the wand, you push air inside the tube. This not only produces flakes and clumps, but also makes the mascara dry out. A dime-sized hole in the elevator doors is a keyhole. If the doors get stuck, an operator can open them manually by inserting a special key in this hole. The same tool is used when an elevator needs routine maintenance. The bubbles in your soda push the straw up when they balance the buoyancy with the mass of the straw. But you can keep your straw from rising in your soda can by putting it through the hole in the metal pull ring. Ah, the science behind soda cans. Those squares of fabric that come with clothes are for you to try out your cleaning products on them first. This way you won't ruin the entire item once you decide to wash it. The soft round part under a soda bottle cap keeps the bubbles from escaping. Without it, your pop would go flat in no time, probably even before you buy it. And what's worse, if you bought the flat drink for your dad, then your pop's pop won't pop. The utility knife is supposed to last way longer than most people think. The knife blade is made of narrow parallel sections. When the instrument gets blunt, break off the top section with the cap you can find at the bottom. Voila! You have a brand new sharp blade again. But don't forget to put on a pair of safety gloves and goggles before doing this. Yes, it's another sharp tip from Brightside. Various types of cheese have holes for a reason. For example, Swiss cheese is made with special bacteria that produce carbon dioxide. As the CO2 is emitted, it blows like bubblegum, leaving tiny craters, also known as cheese eyes. Then the cheese is cooled down, but the holes stay in place. Over 40 billion Oreos are made every single year. It's the world's most popular manufactured cookie. The geometric design stamped onto these cookies has the Nabisco logo, the symbol of European quality, surrounding the word Oreo. William Tournier created the chocolate cookie design we see today back in 1952. If you use reusable bottles, you probably know that sometimes they smell. Even if you only use it for regular water, it still smells. But it's not the water that smells, it's the microorganisms in it. If you drink water from a bottle, the particles of your saliva and sweat stay in there. Those bacteria start to build up in the bottle, causing the smell. So, if you choose reusable bottles, make sure to wash them every day to prevent those bacteria from building up. After washing, let it dry completely before using it again. Not only are the jeans blue, but the police officers' uniforms as well. The first official police officers appeared in the 19th century in London. They were given a blue uniform to contrast with the red and white uniform that military workers had already been wearing. 2 decades afterward, the police force was adopted in the USA, and they followed the patterns. The uniform is still blue nowadays because it proved to be a good color. It's not that visible in dark hours, and police officers can observe things and people staying unnoticed. Also, stains aren't that visible on dark material. And, well, everyone knows that police officers wear blue and they're recognized it. So, why change that? Baby carrots are tiny, and unlike regular carrots, wet, not unlike baby humans. Baby carrots aren't some special sort of carrot. They're actually made of regular carrots by cutting off the skin and outer layers and then polishing them to look that pretty. The problem is they can't retain moisture. A regular carrot retains some water inside because of the layers that lock it in. Once they're chopped out, baby carrots can dry out easily. So they usually sell them in bags with some water inside. Jeans have metal rivets, and they're there from the very beginning. Jacob Davis, the man who made the first pair of jeans, added copper rivets to spots where pants are more likely to rip, flies and pockets, to make them stronger. Today, they have more of a decorative purpose, since they are distinctive and traditional for jeans. Another special thing about jeans is those tiny pockets they have that seemingly serve no purpose. Well, maybe it's true now, but years ago, when many cowboys were wearing jeans, the pocket was made specifically to keep a pocket watch there. Also, back then, a pair of jeans had just 4 pockets. That tiny pocket, the watch pocket, 2 big pockets in front, and just 1 pocket in the back. Car headrests are all about comfort, and detachable headrests are all about safety. If you pull the headrest out, you'll see 2 sturdy metal bars. If you ever get locked or trapped in a car, you can use the bars to smash the window and get out. Those little red spots you sometimes see after you crack an egg are nothing to be worried about. Tiny blood spots can be caused by a small rupture in a blood vessel of a hen as it was laying the egg. Eggs with these blood spots are safe to eat, but that spot can be removed if you want. It won't affect the taste of the egg. Oh, that's comforting. Hidden within the Toblerone logo of the mountain is the image of a bear standing on its hind legs, about to eat that yodeler over there. No, not really. This is because bears are a big part of Bern, one of the biggest cities in Switzerland, where the founder created the triangular chocolate treat. Toblerone is also a play on the founder's family name, Tobler, and the Italian word Torrone for honey and almond nougat. The space below a cup of noodles is there to protect the noodles during transport. This technique is called a middle suspension. Not only are they protected better in their styrofoam cup, but it also helps those noodles soften more evenly and quickly. Even though you might have noticed that the hole on the barrel of ballpoint pens has no purpose, it does. It's called a venting system, which helps the ink flow more smoothly. This way, an even amount of air pressure is created inside and outside the pen, allowing the ink to flow into the point easily. It's not an accident that soy sauce bottles have 2 spouts. The sauce is liquid, and it flows out of the bottle pretty quickly once you turn it over. Most Asian food lovers will admit they've spilled it at least once in a lifetime. That's why nowadays, restaurants prefer serving soy sauce in special bottles that have 2 spouts. This design allows you to control when and how much sauce will come out. Just put your finger on one spout while you pour the sauce through another. If you press your finger tightly to the spout, the sauce will stop flowing, and if you remove your finger, it will flow again. And please do not remove your finger in a restaurant. It will freak everybody out. You've probably noticed that train and bus seats are covered in fabrics with weird patterns. Any idea why? They use these patterns to cover any germs and stains on the seat. Oh boy. The brighter the color and the more patterned it is, the harder it will be for a passenger to notice any stains and get grossed out. Also, the patterns are usually so ugly that no one even wants to look at them for long enough to spot any stains. So yeah, the pattern is there to make you look away, and if you look, to make it less noticeable. No bus will ever have plain white seats, that's a guarantee. The middle tab on soda cans can be flipped around. You can slip a straw in place so you don't have to hold it up your mouth. This Stay On tab replaced the pull ring tab created in the early 60s. You remember those, don't you? Those could be quite sharp and easily discarded where they could be a menace for others. Now you can pop your straw straight into one. Also means you can produce some bubbles and make a mess like a 3-year-old. Sometimes, when you purchase an article of clothing, you receive a plastic baggie with an extra button and a swatch of fabric. While the fabric is clearly used to patch holes, it can also be used to test the effects of various cleaners on certain surfaces. It's handy, too, to test wash cycles before using them to wash the whole garment. Escalators have those fluffy black brushes for a similar reason that some have yellow lines on their steps, to try and deter people from getting too close to dangerous places. People don't always take notice, and sometimes clothing can drape close to the point where the step meets the edge or skirt. The brush is a little barrier to help prevent this from happening. They can also catch bits of fluff and prevent other small things from falling down into the gaps. Those takeaway containers most associated with Chinese restaurants are designed to not only carry your food home, but to store it in the fridge. They double as a plate, as you can eat straight out of them and don't have to worry about dirty dishes. Yay! They were actually patented way back in 1894 to transport freshly shucked oysters and were known as oyster pails. They were later adapted to use as leak-proof containers for food. Ever wondered why coins have those little ridges along the edge? It's a leftover from earlier times when they were worth more. Counterfeiters could easily file the edges off to sell as gold or silver coins to make some profit. The ridges were created so it was much easier to tell which of the coins had been altered. It's not needed today, but the coins still have that altered style. All crackers and some cookies have holes to make sure the final product has the right texture. These teeny tiny holes allow steam to escape, so your crackers and cookies won't snap. If it weren't for these holes, also known as dockers, steam would build up inside the treat, and the final result might have been scrumptious, but it would have been rather oddly shaped. Dogs like to walk in circles before snoozing because they inherited this behavior pattern from their ancestors. There were no special doggy beds back then, so most pooches would have to push down tall grass to make a sort of snoozing spot. Plus, as a bonus, those movements scared off all the critters lurking in the vegetation. Donuts are ring-shaped for a similar reason. If they hadn't had holes right in the center, the dough there would have always been undercooked. By the way, they're often associated with the police because back in the 1950s, donut shops were among the only places open late. They were a perfect place for police officers to grab something to eat and even deal with some paperwork during the night shift. Your jeans are blue on the outside and white on the inside because of a smart way to weave the fabric. The warp thread is dyed, while the weft thread has no color. It's just white. This way, manufacturers reduce the amount of dye needed for each piece of clothing. And they're still dyeing to make the jeans. There's nothing better than a nice piece of buttered toast for breakfast, if we're not counting hot fudge sundaes. But if you find it harder to spread out cold butter over your toast, here's an idea. Use a cheese grater. Figure out the amount you need and grate the product. The process will also soften the butter, making it easier to spread, and you won't have to melt a too large amount of it in the process. But still, that hot fudge. Dried pasta comes in all sorts of different shapes and sizes for a reason. That's because each type of pasta goes best with a particular sauce. Pasta shells, for example, are perfect with denser and chunkier sauces. Why? Because the sauce gets inside the shells, making it easier to serve and eat the dish. The ribbed outer surface also helps with covering the shells in the sauce. If you ever end up burning your cookies, you can save them with your trusty grater too. Just grate off the blackened parts after carefully taking the cookies from the baking tray. But be careful and wait until the cookies have cooled down. Also, if you ruin their shape a bit, you can always dip them in some melted chocolate. Ooh. After the chocolate cools down, you'll have perfectly shaped cookies. Although, after it gets past your lips and beyond, does the shape of the cookie actually matter? Just saying. If you like adding a lot of ingredients to your sandwiches, but don't really appreciate it when the bread gets soggy, there is a way to reduce the amount of moisture. Pick your sliced tomatoes or cucumbers and place them between 2 paper towels for up to 5 minutes. After that, you can use them. Also, make sure to spread butter, cheese, or sauces like mayo or ketchup onto the bread first. This will help you seal the bread and keep moisture at bay. Some people think that the little white string that you find near an egg yolk needs to be removed before you cook the egg. Well, I'm here to tell you that these strands are called chalaza, and you don't actually need to get rid of them. They help keep the yolk in place at the egg's center. A chalaza is not going to mess up the consistency or the taste of your food, so removing it is completely up to you. Ever notice that most juice boxes come with 2 flaps, one on each side? Those are actually handles. Manufacturers design the boxes this way to make it easier for us to hold them. This way, we don't end up squeezing the box, making the juice spill out. Now, you don't need to be a baking pro to know that you can use both white and brown sugar in your recipes. But have you ever wondered what the difference between these two is? It turns out that the only thing that sets them apart is that, during production, a small amount of molasses is added to the brown sugar. Molasses is basically a sort of syrup you get when processing sugarcane. It's usually removed during the refining process. That's how white sugar is produced. But if some amount of molasses remains in the final product, we end up with brown sugar, with its specific taste and darker hue. It's a good thing. There are a lot of things you can put in your dishwasher apart from your dishes. For example, you can clean such things as your silicone oven mitts or the knobs of some kitchen appliances, like your oven or stove. Some kitchen sponges and reusable towels may be safe to clean in the dishwasher as well. Speaking of kitchen cleaning products, there are a lot of things you can do with dish soap, like degriming your patio furniture. Just add a bit of dish detergent to some warm water and use the solution to wipe down your outdoor furniture with a piece of cloth. Finally, rinse it clean using your garden hose. You can also use dish soap to get rid of greasy stains on your clothes. Be it pasta sauce or salad dressings, hey, sometimes we miss our mouths. So, just apply a little dish detergent to the stain and then rinse with water. Use non-colored soap for lighter clothes. For more difficult stains, let the dish soap sink in for a bit, then throw the piece of clothing in the washer as usual. And think about maybe getting a bib. If none of the methods have helped you organize your closet, and you're still overwhelmed with large piles of clothes, there's a simple way that might be effective. It's called the one-in, one-out rule. That means for every new piece of clothing you buy, you need to get rid of one you already have. That means you'll always be decluttering your space. To make it easier to find something in your closet, good luck. Keep your most used items at eye level. This way they'll be easier to find and pull out when you're in a hurry. Those items that you tend to use less often, like your evening clothes for example, can stay on the shelves above or below your eye level. You can make good use of old spice tins. If you glue some powerful magnets to the inside of the tins, they can double as magnetic shelves. You can use them for all sorts of everyday items, like kitchen pliers, ice cream scoops, or even cutlery. You can also place them on any metallic surface, like your refrigerator door. They'll blend in nicely with your kitchen magnets. Hidden in your laundry room, there's a great tool for picking up pet hair. It sometimes works better than lint rollers. Take a dryer sheet and, using some elbow grease, you'll get rid of that dog or cat hair in no time. It works on all sorts of surfaces, but it's especially effective for upholstered furniture. Now, if you don't like it when a door starts squeaking whenever you enter a room, get a bar of soap and rub it straight on the hinges. This will only help for a while though, but it'll do the trick until you manage to get to a hardware store and, buy some oil. Have you ever noticed that in some elevators there's a star next to the number of a specific floor? No, it's not to indicate where my office is. It's there to point out where the nearest exit is. And it's not always on the first floor. It's most likely located on the floor closest to the street. Have you ever wondered why stop signs are red? Well, back in the day, they didn't actually have any particular color at all. Before the 1920s, they didn't even have a standardized shade. In 1922, though, someone came up with the octagon, but initially it was painted yellow, all because the red coloring tended to fade out too quickly because of sun exposure. So yellow turned out to be the best option. It took another 30 years for fade-resistant enamel paint to be invented. We ended up changing the color of the stop sign back to red. After all, it's still the best color if you want something to be easily noticeable. Do you know there's a type of rose that can grow taller than people? According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the tallest rose bush ever found grew in Vienna, Austria. It was a staggering 28.5 feet tall. Yes, it arose to a great height. In the same way we all have unique patterns on our fingerprints, no two tigers have the same set of stripes. It makes it easier for people working with this feline species to distinguish one tiger from another. I'll bet you didn't know the White House has its own flower shop hidden in the basement of the building. It's supposed to provide flower arrangements for all sorts of events that take place there. It's probably no surprise that pizza has become an American staple dish despite its Italian origin. People in the US love it so much that they buy 350 slices of pizza every second in the States. Man, I'm not getting my fair share. To manage the huge demand for this delicious dish, around 17% of all restaurants in the US are pizzerias. Finally, there's a way to make lemon juice without the seeds getting into your beverage. Try cutting the fruit in two and squeezing it with a pair of kitchen tongs. The pointed end of the lemon should be facing down. The juice will flow down, but the seeds will remain inside the lemon. Ooh, lemonade. It goes well with pizza.
I bet that's not what you imagine when you think of cashews. But a Redditor found them like this in a store in Brazil. It turns out they're not true nuts. Cashews emerge at the tip of a cashew apple. There's a special word for a fruit with a seed inside, a drupe. So, cashews are drupes, just like almonds and pistachios. Brazil is the homeland of cashews. The tree was brought to India by the Portuguese in the middle of the 16th century, and from there, it spread further to Asia and then to West Africa. Today, these regions are the largest producers of cashews. The biggest consumer is the USA. They get 90% of the world's harvest. Since we're talking about foods, I'll show you a couple more. This, for example, is how pineapples grow. Also, pineapples aren't one of those fruits that grow fast. They take from 16 up to 24 months to grow until they can be harvested. Also, one plant can only produce a maximum of 3 pineapples during its lifetime. Fun facts: every segment of a pineapple used to be a flower. Have you ever wondered why eggplants are called eggplants? Well, you've probably never seen an eggplant growing, so here's a picture. Now it makes sense. They literally look like growing eggs. Also, eggplants aren't vegetables. Botanically, they're berries, just like watermelons. Also, eggplants aren't only purple. They can also be white, green, and even purple with white stripes. You'll never guess what it is. It looks like a flower bouquet, but it's broccoli that hasn't been harvested. Those flowers are actually edible. Broccoli has been known for at least 2,000 years. It was the favorite food of the ancient Romans. But it appeared in North America only in the 1920s. Italian immigrants were the ones to bring it to California and start selling it. Now, the USA is the third largest producer of broccoli, after China and India. And this is what an artichoke turns into if you let it bloom. So, an artichoke is actually an unbloomed flower. It's also one of the oldest foods humans know. Remember that a pineapple takes around 2 years to produce a fruit, and a plant can only carry 3 pineapples during its life, if you're lucky. An artichoke plant grows 20 artichokes per year. The artichoke is one of the healthiest vegetables when it comes to antioxidants. Here's a photo of a sleeping turtle. Many of them sleep inside their shells. It's an instinct to protect themselves from predators. Still, some turtles can't retract to their shells, so they sleep in positions similar to this one. These animals are active during the day and sleep at night. The amount of sleep a turtle needs depends on the species. It can be from 10 hours to just 1. On average, a turtle takes a 4 to 6 hour long nap. The most important factor for a turtle when it goes to sleep is to find a safe place. They can hide under leaves or in holes in the ground. Have you ever seen a chameleon's feet? You're welcome. So, those guys have 2 toes on the inner side of the foot and 3 on the outer side when we talk about front feet, and it's the opposite for the back feet. Chameleons live on trees, and their feet help them climb better. We all know about chameleons' unique ability to change colors, but they don't change them to camouflage. In reality, the color depends on the chameleon's mood, temperature, humidity, and light. Also, do you know that some of them have tongues that are twice as long as their body? Ever seen a goose mouth from up close? They have teeth. Only they're called beaks. Goose are very loyal creatures. It's not a myth that a duckling bonds with the first moving stimulus they see after hatching. No matter if it's a goose, a person, or even just an object, they will stay dedicated to that lucky creature or thing throughout their lives. Geese also mate for life, and they're very protective of their offspring. If they lose a loved one, they mourn them. Also, if a goose in a group gets sick or wounded, a couple of other geese will stay with it to protect and take care of it. This cute little buddy is a newborn alligator. But don't be tricked by its cute appearance. This little dude has around 60 teeth already. Also, it's not the DNA that determines the gender of an alligator, it's the temperature. If eggs were laid when it was hot, male alligators will hatch. If they stayed in colder temperatures, then there will be a bunch of females. After hatching, it takes an alligator 10 years to mature. Overall, alligators live around 35 years in the wild. Also, alligators can't live in salt water. Unlike crocodiles, they don't have special glands to excrete salt from their bodies. And this one is a newborn pigeon. I bet you've seen thousands of pigeons in your life, but probably never a newborn one. That's because newborn pigeons stay in the nest for around 6 weeks, which is longer than any other bird. By the time they're out, they almost look like grown-up pigeons, so no wonder you've never noticed the difference. Also, these guys are possibly the first birds domesticated by people. They are also experts in navigation. They can find their way back home from 1,300 miles afar. It's more than the distance between New York and Florida. It's believed that pigeons have an innate sense of direction. Back in ancient times, pigeons actually delivered mail. This is a cow's mouth. Those brushes are called conical papillae. They help a cow move food around in the mouth. Also, cows have a field of vision of 330 degrees, so there's little that can skip their attention. Remember that some turtles only need 1 hour of sleep a day? Cows sleep even less, around 30 minutes a day. And this time is divided into 6 to 10 short periods of deep sleep. These animals lie down for around 10 hours a day. But the rest of the time, they move around, covering quite long distances. And yeah, they also drink around 26 gallons of water a day. Can you guess what this is? It's sand, under 300 times magnification. Sand is rock broken into micro pieces after eroding after millions of years. Also, communities of microbes live on a single grain of sand. Things can get really small in this world. Even though there's a lot of it, sand is still a valuable material. Concrete is made out of it. And also, some countries, like the United Arab Emirates in Singapore, have shipped tons of sand to extend their territory by creating additional islands. Apparently, this is what sinuses look like. They're hollow spaces in your facial bones, behind the forehead, nose, cheekbones, and between the eyes. Those are very important, since they produce mucus, which is a fluid in your nose that filtrates, warms, and moisturizes the air you breathe in. Sinuses also help you detect tastes. Without this ability, the food would be way less delicious. This is the inside of a bowling ball. You may notice that it isn't symmetrical inside, so the weight isn't distributed evenly. This allows the ball to make curves. By the way, do you know that bowling appeared 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt? Yep, it's not a new sport, and it was popular all over the world. The rules and equipment were different everywhere, though. The first bowling lane was constructed only in the 19th century in New York. This right here is a forgotten pack of cotton candy. Bottom line, don't forget about it, otherwise it'll shrink as if it never existed. Cotton candy is only made of 2 ingredients, colored sugar and air. So now we know that the only ingredient in the world that is, so far, free, air. Also, a thread of cotton candy is actually thinner than a hair. By the way, December 7th is National Cotton Candy Day. Hope you celebrate it. If not, mark this day in your calendars for the next year. With only 2 ingredients, this stuff has 0 fat. Also, it was created by a candy maker and a dentist.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the trunk of your car, stay calm. All cars are supposed to be equipped with an emergency latch to help open the trunk from the inside in the unlikely case it happens. These latches are so well thought out that they can be opened by people of all ages. More so, handles are designed to glow in the dark, too. You can even pull them with the mouth if there's not enough wiggle room to use your hands. Never mind how you ended up in the trunk in the first place. Moving on. If you're ever working with needle and thread, remember you don't need to stick the needle directly into the spool. You may end up losing the needle altogether. Not to mention you can easily hurt your fingers. A lot of modern sewing kits these days come with a designated place for safeguarding the needles. It's located at the bottom part of the thread spool. You'll just need to pull it out. It's even made to hold multiple sewing needles at a time. Disposable ballpoint pens come with a little secret of their own. Did you ever notice that in some of them there's a small hole in the plastic part? It's actually a rudimentary ventilation system. It's supposed to let the ink easily make it to the tip of the pen. Okay, I know it's in the name, but you really don't need to shake the seasoning shaker to get any product out. Don't believe me? Hey, you're not the only one. Go grab your favorite seasoning bottle out of your pantry. If it has one of those removable plastic caps, it's perfect for the experiment. Instead of shaking the bottle, try holding it from the plastic cap while it's upside down. Now gently twist the bottle from side to side and, before you know it, you get some gorgeously flowing seasoning without having to wiggle the shaker and make a mess all over the stove. On the same note, most salt and pepper shakers should have ridges on the bottom of the glass portion. In case you get any seasoning stuck in there, place the bottom of the salt shaker against the bottom of the pepper shaker and wiggle it around so the ridges click with each other. The seasoning should easily pour out now without you having to open the bottle. In colder weather, you often have so many clothing layers on you that you can hardly feel the purse or back straps on your shoulder anymore. Not to mention how fast they can slide off. Some jackets come with a built-in solution for that, in the form of a small tab on the shoulder with either a hook or a button. It's meant to be opened and closed comfortably, so you can keep your purse in place at any time. You're most likely using it merely to peel the skin of potatoes, carrots, or cucumbers. But you can use your vegetable peeler for chopping fine strips of onion as well. Just cut the onion into quarters vertically and then start slicing. This might also help out with those embarrassing onion tears. Most people miss this one, but should you ever have a closer look at your toothpaste tube, you will surely see some sort of coloring there, either a dot or a block. Colors can vary. They can be black, green, red, or even blue. These color spots are actually meant to help the assembly machines back at the toothpaste factory. They recognize when and where these machines need to cut the toothpaste tubes and proceed to fold them for packaging. For most types of footwear, if there's anything that seems a bit out of place, always know that it's there for a reason. Most manufacturers don't put extra items on shoes just for fun. It would definitely be a waste of time and resources. For footwear like boots, for example, there's often a small loop at the top back of the shoe. It's there to help you when you need to put the shoe on, since you can quickly pull on it. Plus, you can also hang the shoes somewhere, most likely to dry, since most boots are meant to be worn in the colder weather. Now, I've been guilty at least once of overdressing with a bunch of layers just so I won't need to jam everything in my check-in bag. But does it become a problem when you actually have to get seated? What do you do with your coat or your jacket? Well, have a closer look next time you board a plane on the seat in front of you. The hook that keeps the tray table upright can double as a jacket hook. As long as you don't need to have any meals while in the air, you're good to go. Now, most mascaras expire within 3 to 6 months, I'm told, depending on the manufacturer. But you can help speed up that process if you're not careful enough. Continuously pumping the mascara wand, trying to mix in the product actually pushes more air into the tube. This can make it dry much faster, and you evidently won't get the desired results with it anymore. There's an easy way to check if your mascara is still good enough to use. If you don't hear a popping noise when you take the brush out, you may very well need to go get yourself a new mascara tube. Now, I know we're living in the era of Bluetooth-connected devices, but for better quality sound, they still recommend using headphones that connect via audio jacks. Remember seeing black ridges on those jacks? They aren't there just to make them fit when you plug them into your phone or laptop. Made out of a special insulating material, these bands are meant to guard the wires when sound is being transmitted. Based on the number of bands, you can figure out which end goes where. Some empty space under noodles in a cup doesn't mean the company producing them wants to cheat you out of a full portion. No. It's a manner of keeping the noodles intact during their transportation. It also helps with the circulation of hot water that is poured over the products before you can enjoy them. The V-shaped neckline was initially designed to serve a bunch of objectives. First, as a way of prolonging the life of the garment that would maintain its shape over the years. It's also there to fit your head through the shirt in case it needs some stretching. This way, it ensures a snugger grip around the neck. Lastly, it helps absorb sweat in case you're wearing the shirt while exercising. Now, it's not necessarily a custom anymore, but you may have stumbled upon a dinner jacket with an additional mysterious pocket on the right side. Turns out, this pocket was used by men to easily reach their train tickets, since most of them had to travel to work every day. It helped them keep their jacket buttoned up, but also benefited from the use of a pocket. Now it's only added as a decoration, and it doesn't serve an actual purpose anymore. Speaking of things we don't use these days, or at least for their initial purpose, did you know Play-Doh was originally a cleaning product? In the 1920s, the market was in need of a product that could help them wipe the wallpapered areas around coal-burning furnaces. The recipe for what we now know as Play-Doh was thus invented. It was manufactured in white only and was supposed to clean wallpaper by being rolled back and forth over the dirt. It was only later, in the 1940s, that new products for cleaning wallpaper were brought up, and Play-Doh was redirected toward another area of the market. Now, while I enjoy a nice piece of toast for breakfast, isn't it pesky to have to clean out the toaster? Well, not anymore, since I recently found out that toasters have a slide or a panel at the bottom that helps get rid of all those annoying breadcrumbs easily. Now, there used to be a time when you could only have access to video games by inserting cartridges in your console of choice. These tiny objects gave many doctors a lot of headaches. People soon started popping up in hospitals after swallowing small game cartridges, especially the younger generation. Nintendo, the company that manufactures the majority of these devices, had to come up with a creative solution to prevent these accidents. So these days, Nintendo Switch cartridges are purposely coated with specific chemicals that can leave a really bad, bitter taste in the mouth. Not that I'd, recommend you ever try and taste for yourself. It's your birthday party. You made a wish and blew out the candles. It's time to cut this delicious round cake. Your guests can't wait to taste it. Wait a minute. Are you sure you actually know how to cut it? Normally, people prefer making V-shaped slices by default. Although this method is very popular, it's far from perfect. Some guests won't get enough frosting, while others will get too much. And besides, cakes are pretty fragile, so crumbs can fall all over the place. This alternative method went viral because of its incredible practicality. All you need to do is press a large cutting board against the cake very gently. Then slice the cake across horizontally and move the long piece onto the cutting board. Now you can cut one big slice into several smaller slices for the guests. This will give them a chance to order exactly as much or as little dessert as they really want. Wait, who wants just a little dessert? You will also prevent the leftover cake from drying out too soon. And if someone asks for more, just keep repeating the cutting board trick as many times as you need to. If the number of guests at your party doesn't match the small size of your cake, there's an easy tip to make sure everyone's served. Cut the cake into small cubes, put them into paper baking cups, and pierce the slices with a toothpick to make sure the layers don't fall apart. You can serve this cake canapé on a tray. When you don't have a knife at hand to cut a cake, dental floss will help you out. If you manage to do the work gently, the floss will glide through your cake with ease and keep the icing decoration in perfect order. This method is also very handy when you want to cut pie or cake layers horizontally. Of course, it's better to use dental floss with a neutral flavor if you don't want to feel the minty frost in your dessert. You're hanging some pictures or framed diplomas on a wall, I have several, but they refuse to hang straight. If you're using a wire and only one nail, it's very likely that the picture will get crooked. So the better solution is to use two nails. They will help the artwork stay there straight. Also, make sure that the wire is only as long as it needs to be. Otherwise, the excess slack will make the picture stagger on the wall. And finally, you can use these small clear sticky tabs. Stick them on the bottom corner of either side of your framed pictures and prevent them from slipping. Now, even the highest quality markers stop working sooner or later, but that's not a reason to say goodbye to them. Glue the markers around the outer edge of a regular flower pot. Then spray this construction with gold paint. You'll get a glamorous vase that will spice up your interior. To complete this project, you can use not only a pot, but any other cylindrical vase or tin cans that match the size of your markers. Have you ever spilled your hot drink down on your clothes as you were walking from the cafeteria to your desk? Probably yes. Most people wrap their hands around the mug or use a handle. But none of these methods is perfect because they leave room for burns. Recent studies have revealed the best way to hold a coffee mug to prevent any spillage. And I bet you don't use it on a daily basis. Put your hands in a claw-like shape and grip your mug from above with your fingers. This will protect you from burning your palm and keeping your outfit tidy. And besides, it looks kind of elegant. Now, in case you didn't know, there are little tabs on the sides of your foil container. You're supposed to push those in. Now, when you pull the foil out, it's going to glide effortlessly, and the foil tube will be fixed in the container. Shoe stores usually sell their items with small plastic hangers. Don't rush to throw away this accessory, it's not so worthless. If your shoes ever get wet, you can use it to hang them on a radiator, so they dry quickly and evenly. This trick is especially handy when you get your feet wet on the way to work. If you like to wash and dry your shoes in a washing machine to keep them fresh and tidy, you know that it can get really noisy. To avoid the sound of rocks rolling around the drum, put your shoes and your laces inside a mesh laundry bag. If you don't have a laundry bag, try using an empty pillowcase. You can also put a large old towel in the washing machine together with your shoes. It'll rub against the shoes and provide additional cleaning. Just make sure you don't wipe your face with this towel afterward. Glass cleaning spray is a great emergency tool to restore your patent leather shoes. Just spray it on your shoes and wipe them using a soft, dry cloth. Voila! Shining bright like a diamond. Got some creases on your shoes? No panic. Stuff your shoes tightly with some fabric to bring them back to their original shape. Then put a damp towel over the crease. Gently steam the crease with an iron. It'll get softer or disappear completely. Here's a genius tip for storing and serving fresh herbs. Cut and mix different herbs, then put them in a plastic bottle. Screw the cap and keep it in your fridge. Now you don't have to chop your herbs every time you're cooking something. You can also make an exclusive salad dressing. Just add some oil, spices, and sauce into this bottle and shake it to mix all the ingredients. When you're reheating your food in a microwave, some part of the meal gets too hot while the rest of it stays frosty. So, in case you've been looking for different tips to deal with this issue, here's the classic one. Put your food on a plate and make a hole in the center so that your meal is donut-shaped. This way, the microwave will heat it more evenly. But don't put the dish in the center of the turntable. To heat it evenly, it's best to keep it on the outer edge. If you need to heat up 2 meals at the same time, put a clean upside-down cup inside the microwave. Then put your second plate on top of that cup. There you go. It's easy and time-saving. You can squeeze lemon juice out using ordinary kitchen tongs. Cut the lemon in half and put 1/2 into the tongs. Now press them under a bowl to collect the juice. Add some water, sugar, and ice, and enjoy your lemonade. You're cooking popcorn in a microwave and can't wait to start watching the new episode of your favorite show. After 1 or 2 minutes of microwaving, little hard kernels still stay on the bottom of the popcorn bag. People tend to grab them by mistake. Biting these little betrayers can be fatal for your teeth. But luckily, there's a little slit in the bottom of the bag. Here's what you're supposed to do. When your popcorn is ready, don't rush to open the bag. Turn the bag upside down and shake it vigorously under a bowl. All the unpopped kernels will come out. Now you can enjoy your snack safely. If you have accidentally burnt the food on your stove and want to avoid dealing with fire detectors, here's a simple trick. One of the best ways to remove smoke quickly is to use a half-wet towel. Hold on to the dry side of the towel and keep flinging it around over your head. The damp part of the towel will absorb the solid particles in the smoke very quickly. And there's no need to use a knife to peel kiwi. Just cut off the top and the bottom of the kiwi. Then gently insert a tablespoon inside of the kiwi and twist it to separate the skin from the fruit. Wow, your kiwi is now peeled. However, some people prefer eating kiwi with skin. It's perfectly edible and provides lots of fiber, folate, and antioxidants. So, if you don't mind this fluffy texture, go ahead. But don't forget to wash it first.
If you're struggling with opening a container or a jar, don't exert yourself too much. Just run the lid under hot water for half a minute and then dry it for a better grip and see how it magically opens. If you're following a recipe that calls for both garlic and onions, add onions first. When you see they're almost translucent, that's the perfect moment to add garlic. Garlic will cook faster than onions, so if you put both of these products in a pan at the same time, the garlic will burn and your meal won't taste as good. You're a fan of avocados? Here's how you can easily check if one is ripe or not. Just take a look at its tail. If you can pull it out without any difficulties, the avocado is good to eat. If you can't do it easily, better leave it for a couple of days since it's not ripe yet. Here's how you can tell if an egg is fresh or not. Break it and check the yolk. If you can see that it has a clear circle of white surrounding it and is located in the middle, you have a fresh egg. The yolk is supposed to be voluminous too. If it's flat, it's better not to eat the egg. If you see that the white part doesn't have clear borders and your egg spreads around, the chances are it's spoiled. To tell the quality of your eggs, put a raw one while it's still in the shell into a bowl of water. If the egg remains on the bottom, you're good to go. If one of its sides comes closer to the water surface, your egg is not fresh, but you can still eat it. But if it floats, it's not fresh enough to consume. Brushing your teeth in the morning and before you go to bed doesn't have to be the same process. It's important to brush your teeth in the morning, but more so that you have fresh breath. But in the evening, you should brush your teeth more thoroughly because that's how you can prevent bacteria from breeding and protect your gums and teeth. Speaking of bad breath, want to know a good trick to fight it in no time? Cucumber slices. If you don't have a mint within reach, simply eat a slice of cucumber to fix this problem. When you buy natural peanut butter, store it upside down. That way, it won't separate into solids and oils as much. And you'll bring the oils to the top, which is why the peanut butter will be easier to mix. When you put something down for a while, comment it out loud. For example, I've put my phone on the floor right next to my bed. When you do this, you engage multiple parts of your brain, including the language centers, and create a more vivid memory. That way, you'll be less likely to forget about it. You can do the same when you, for example, blow out a candle, unplug your hair straightener, turn off your stove burners, or take your keys, wallet, and other stuff when you leave the house. You'll get rid of many of those moments of doubt that make you wonder if you really did those things. If you visit your friend and bring along something you don't want to forget when you leave, just put it next to your car keys. That's something you definitely can't leave without. If it's hard for you to make a decision, flip a coin. It's not really about letting it decide for you, but while you're waiting to see the result, your mind will automatically start thinking about the outcome you really want, but perhaps can't admit out loud. You're in the supermarket and want to know if the pumpkin you're holding is good or not. Just knock on it. Does it sound as if it's empty inside? That's a good sign. Meanwhile, on the outside, it should be solid. Sometimes we dispose of foods that are still good to consume, like yogurt that's become layered. You know that layer of liquid on the top? That's just whey that contains nutrients. Stir your yogurt to make it smooth because it's still good to eat. When you're buying chicken, check if there's liquid around it. It's better when it doesn't have it. For instance, if you take some frozen chicken out of the freezer and see a lot of ice around the piece, it's better not to eat it. You're moving into a new apartment or house? Set up your bedroom first. Buy a bed before anything else. When you're exhausted after carrying your stuff around and cleaning the whole day, you'll just want to have a comfortable place to rest. Here's a trick that will help you figure out if your coconut oil is adulterated. Leave it in the fridge for half an hour. Coconut oil becomes solid at low temperatures. Adulterant oils detach and you can see them as a separate layer. When you want to check if an onion has some mold, just take a look at what's under the first layer of peel. Do you see stains that look as if the peel has faded? Mold. better avoid buying this vegetable. Or make sure to remove all that mold if you've already got it. You can determine whether a lemon is ripe or not by eye. If its skin is smooth and has a rich yellow color, it's ripe. A greenish tint, as well as a pale yellow color, tells you it's ready to be used yet. This one's for coffee lovers. If you really want to enjoy your overall coffee experience, it's way better to buy beans and grind them yourself. Or ask if a salesperson can do it in the store when you buy your coffee. That's the best way to make sure that the product is really made without any extra additions that can be present in a regular ground coffee. If you're looking for a simple way to separate yolks from egg whites, try this. Take a clean and empty plastic water bottle, crack an egg into a bowl, squeeze the bottle over the yolk, and slowly release it. This way, you'll create a vacuum which will make the yolk slide into the bottle. Ta-da! It's separated from the white, just like that. Let's say you lost an earring or some other small item in the house. A vacuum cleaner will help. Just don't forget to pop a stocking over its head. This way, the item won't get lost in the dust and dirt inside the vax bag. You want to take your favorite lotion with you on a trip, but it takes up too much space? Try using a contact lens case. It doesn't need a lot of space, and it's a perfect solution for short trips. A hair straightener is a surprisingly good tool when it comes to ironing collars, especially if you're not a fan of regular ironing.
When you want to check if your batteries are good or bad, just drop them on the table from approximately 6 inches. If they bounce once and fall right over, they're good to go. If they bounce around more than that, they're either done or on the way out.
If your razor doesn't have a plastic cap, just use a binder clip to cover it. And to protect the rest of your stuff if you're packing it with some sensitive items or materials. Nail polish is a simple yet effective way to differentiate your keys, especially if they're all similar. Finally, you don't have to try each of them before getting to the right one. When you're reheating leftovers in a microwave, space out a circle in the middle of your dish. This way, your food will heat up more evenly. Straw is a cool tool to remove strawberry stems. Don't you think? A muffin tin definitely comes in handy when you want to serve different condiments for your barbecue. Plus, it will save you some time with the dishes later. Road trip. You and your best friends are rushing down the highway. Suddenly, one turns off the AC and puts the windows down. No! They wanted to help you cut some gas costs and just made one of the classic mistakes. Turning off the AC and opting for a natural breeze helps while you're stuck in traffic. While you're driving with your windows down on a highway, you're creating unnecessary wind resistance. Your car now needs more energy to move forward, and you end up burning more fuel per ride. While you're struggling through traffic inside the city limits, though, turning off the AC isn't a bad idea. It might not be the most comfortable ride on a hot day, but you're here to save some money, right? Now, a quick common sense test. You have 2 routes to choose from. One is shorter and another looks longer on the map. What's it gonna be? Common sense is screaming. The first one, duh. But in fact, the shortest route isn't always the best choice in terms of gas usage. You gotta pick the one with the least stop signs, traffic lights, and traffic jams. This route will require less speeding up and slowing down, both major gas eaters. So plan your route wisely. You can consult apps that show real-time traffic data or interactive maps with stoplights. Do you also have a bag of sand, your old inflatable bed, a pair of shoes, and 5 water canisters in your trunk? Or is it just me? Well, you gotta declutter if you want to save some cash. Losing 100 pounds that you carry around in your vehicle will decrease your gas usage by up to 1% per gallon relative to your vehicle's weight. More weight means more fuel used. That's some simple traffic math. Brake and accelerate less. Driving at a steady speed above 50 miles per hour helps you save some gas costs. Every time you hit the brakes or take off at a rocket speed at the stoplights, you're making your engine work hard, and it feeds on fuel, you know. Plus, aggressive driving is bad traffic etiquette, so speed up slowly and coast to a braking stop smoothly. Don't go 0 to 60 or floor the car until you have to brake abruptly. Cruise control can help you with that drive calmly and steadily when you're on flat terrain like the highway. Once you approach some hills or mountains, cruise control will make your car eat too much gas for no good reason. So turn it off and let the speed go down a bit as you ascend. And then slowly speed up as you go down. This will take some workload off your engine. Park your vehicle a couple of blocks away from your destination. The next time you make the 7th trip driving around the block searching for a parking spot, it will make all perfect sense. When you sum up the frustration, your time spent on those searches, and of course, extra gas costs, you'll be okay settling somewhat further from a busy shopping area, business center, or your favorite popular restaurant. Don't wait until the last minute to refill your tank. Make it a habit to do it once it's 3/4 empty, or whenever is more comfortable for you. This way, you won't have to frantically stop at the gas station nearest to you when it's time to refill. Instead, you'll have your time for some research. There are special gas-finding apps to help you find the best deal in your area. Sometimes it can be across the state or region border, and it's never ever by the highway. Once you're ready to settle down with one gas brand, don't hesitate to ask for something in return. Sign up for their loyalty program, save an app, get a card, whatever it takes to get a discount, cashback, extra points, and other perks from them. Some grocery stores partner up with gas chains, letting you use the points you earn at the store to get a discount on gas. Even 5 cents per gallon can make a difference, so inquire about those. Hybrid vehicle owners, this one's for you. Try turning on the AC while your car is still plugged into the charger. It will help extend the vehicle's range when you get on the road, which means less money spent on gas. If you're driving one of the newer model cars, your engine must automatically stop when you idle your car. If that's not your case, avoid idling to save fuel. Waiting for the traffic lights to turn green takes 45 to 120 seconds. And starting your car requires only 10 seconds of gas. So, if you have to stop for more than 10 seconds, turn your vehicle off. If you let it run, it can eat up to an extra half a gallon of fuel per hour. Now, in case safety isn't one of your primary concerns, at least take good care of your car for reasons of economy. Check if your tires are well inflated at least once a month. When underinflated, they wear out quicker, drag, and waste gas. Check your car's manual to see how often you should tune up your engine. It depends on the age and model. Clean the filters to keep the car going while eating less gas. Use the right motor oil. Otherwise, your car will have to work harder than it should and waste gas. There's no need to play it cool and fill up with premium fuel unless you have a high-performance engine that really can't run on anything else. That will cost you much less in the long run and won't make your vehicle go faster, cleaner, or get better mileage. If your car's manual recommends but does not require premium, at least go with lower grades for extra savings. Gas chemistry has advanced over the past decades, so don't worry about the quality of regular gas. It's all good. If you have an older car, check out your gas cap seal. Once it weakens, it lets oxygen leak into the gas tank. When that happens, gas burns way faster. You can replace the gas cap, but be prepared that the sensors might not recognize the new one, unless it comes from the manufacturer or authorized supplier. If you have a manual transmission, you're in luck. You have complete control over your RPM. That's revolutions per minute. Lower gas means higher RPM. The higher the RPM, the more torque the engine produces and the more fuel it's using. So shift into the upper gears quickly. It differs from car to car, but an optimal solution would be to change to second by about 15 miles per hour. And move to top gear by the time you're going at 30 to 35 miles per hour. That cargo container and the bike rack you have on the roof of your vehicle will have to go. They increase your car's wind resistance, so the engine must do more work to maintain the speed. It could mean up to 20% extra fuel consumption on the highway and up to 8% in the city. If you do need that extra storage, opt for rear-mounted cargo boxes. For those in car buying mode right now, look into a hybrid electric, plug-in hybrid electric, or all-electric one. I mean, you'll definitely cut gas costs with an electric car. Suppose you aren't ready for that much of a change. In that case, many popular models actually come in hybrid form. Toyota RAV4, Hyundai Sonata, and Volvo XC90 are all yours to go. And here comes the bonus tip that will help you cut driving costs by 100%. Are you ready for it? Don't drive! Okay, let me explain. Don't drive whenever it's possible. Walk, or bike to work, or use public transport. If that's too much for you, at least swap driving responsibilities and gas costs with colleagues living in your area. Do you know any other tips to save gas? Maybe you have personal favorites. Do let me know in the comments below.
Ready to discover some life hacks that are low-key useful, but high-key strange and ridiculous? Well, let's go! You wake up feeling brave and dangerous. You're going to wear an all-white shirt on your morning walk to work whilst drinking your Americano, but the plan backfires as you spill the coffee all over yourself. So, you've instantly just gone from feeling like a ferocious polar bear to a helpless white furry puppy. But no worries, all you need is a black marker. Make sure it's not permanent and a world map. Find a place that shows you a set of islands. Hey, why not use the Bahamas? Now, add some contouring using your marker. Write the word Bahamas outside of the stains. And voila! Those coffee stains on your shirt now represent one of the most famous sets of islands in the world. You've just transformed a fashion disaster into a funky, stylish masterpiece. Now, go get yourself another coffee. Have you ever looked up at the moon, convinced that there was a face looking back at you? Most of us have, which is weird given that the moon is nearly 250,000 miles away from Earth. This supposed face, of course, is just an illusion. It's shaped by the dark splotches of lunar maria. These are smooth plains formed by the lava of ancient volcanic eruptions. I want to show you a life hack that will allow you to feel like this famous face of the moon. All you need is an empty roll of toilet paper and your phone. Oh, and that beautiful face of yours. Simply put your face near the hole of the toilet roll and your phone beneath the bottom hole. All that's left to do is snap a picture and take a peek. Next up, are you a snacker? I mean, you just can't stand going into business meetings or classrooms where you're not supposed to eat. I might have found a solution if you're someone who likes Jesus. All you need is a chapstick tube, an empty one. Simply fill up the empty tube with cheese, and just like that, you have a discreet cheese dispenser at your mercy. Now, it's estimated that over 65% of people use lip balm. Some use it daily, others carry it around with them just in case their lips get dry. Who's going to suspect you're actually munching on cheese if you pull a lip balm container out? On average, for those who manage to actually fall asleep on planes, 61% will experience a below-average sleep. A lot of people have trouble falling asleep there altogether. But it's not impossible if you can replicate a sound sleeping environment. I present to you a sleeping mask. Just grab a hair bobble, bring all of your long hair to the front, and tie it as normal. It's literally like having a set of curtains over your face, which is what we need since the absence of light will send a signal to our bodies that it's time to rest. Now, according to research, 2 out of every 3 Americans name popsicles among their favorite foods to eat during the summer. Who can blame them? It's delicious. The only problem? How quickly it melts. But I've got something that's going to help out all of us popsicle lovers. All you need is a popsicle of your choice and a cupcake wrapper. That's right. When you take your popsicle out of the freezer, it's in a solid state because the particles that conform to it are together. As the heat increases, which in 99% of cases is the moment it leaves the freezer, these particles begin to loosen and melt. With each drip from your popsicle comes a tear from your eye. Now it's time to wipe those tears away. All you have to do is pop the popsicle stick through the cupcake wrapper. The wrapper will then catch any of the drips that drop from your popsicle, or any tears of joy that drops from your face. Let them soak in the wrapper while you soak up the sun and enjoy your popsicle carefree. Now, 1 in every 3 Super Bowl parties have chips laid out for their guests. And there's a good chance you might serve some to your friends that are currently on their way over. But what flavor will they like? If you only have one kind of potato chip brand at your house, no problem. Let's spice this up. To give your friends a wide range to choose from, you're going to lay them out in a muffin tin. Just fill each hole with a different type of condiment. Your friends are going to think you're the best host ever. Research has revealed that salsa is often the most popular dipping sauce, followed by French onion and guacamole. So make sure you don't forget to lay these out on that muffin tin. Ever get home from a long day of work, excited to have a steaming hot bath? There's just one problem. Your bathtub is missing its bath plug. Don't panic, I have a solution. Dip back into your party supplies and you'll be dipping into a nice hot bath in no time. You just need to get your hands on a balloon. But stop, don't fill it up with oxygen. Instead, simply fill it up with water and tie a knot on the balloon. Oh, and resist that urge to throw it at someone. Now, go put the water balloon in place of the bath plug. Make sure you fit it nicely and firm. You can check it by turning on the tap to see if the water begins to fill. If it does, it means it's time for you to finally enjoy that hot bath you wanted. Now, would you like to make it the best bath ever by having a beverage of your choice floating beside you throughout? Let me show you how. Go back outside to your car. Actually, put your clothes back on first. I promise you'll be back inside for that bath soon. Grab your phone holder from inside the car. Run back to your bathroom and stick it against the wall by the bathtub. Position it in a way that will fit the glass containing your drink. Make sure the holder's secure, as I'm confident you don't want to be bathing in spilled Coca-Cola. Now that you've ensured this, I'll leave you to enjoy this much-delayed bath and move on to the next life hack. Speaking of beverages, those cans of soda you just bought get warm way too fast. Let me help you out. Quickly pop to a nearby store and buy some ice. Then just find an empty cardboard box and a plastic bag. Open up the box and then cover it with the plastic bag as if you're going to use it as a trash can. Then get your ice and pour the necessary amount inside the box. All of a sudden, you have a fully functioning drink cooler at your disposal. Go grab those cans of soda and put them inside it. Check back in a few minutes to find them nice and cold. In the meantime, just enjoy the sun. Sometimes, as you're going for a walk, you'll encounter surfaces such as muddy trails and forests that have the potential to ruin your shoes. Even if they're walking shoes, you still want them to look good, right? Well, let me show you a trick to keep those sneakers of yours sparkling. Once more, all you need is a balloon. Blow the balloon up and keep the air hole clutched with your hand so as to keep it inflated. Put the balloon on the ground, keeping the air hole covered, and put your hand inside your shoe. You heard that right, hand, not foot. Then press down on the balloon with the shoe. This will cause the balloon to deflate, and once finished, it will be tightly wrapped around the bottom of your shoe. This will act as a perfect form of protection against any dirty surfaces you'll be walking over on your travels. Now just do the same with your other shoe, and away you go. Now when you get home, you'll probably be so excited to get inside, kick your feet up, and relax. This is why struggling through all the keys on your keyring upon arriving is so annoying and tiresome. Well, don't worry, I've got an easy and satisfying fix that will make this process much more instant moving forward. All you need is some nail polish. Well, a couple of different colors. Designate a specific color for each key and get painting. Then just let the paint dry off for a bit. When it's done drying, you have a new color-coded set of keys to your name. Convenient, isn't it?
You got used to browsing the web, playing games, and connecting with your friends on social media, all at the convenience of the iPhone in your pocket. But what if I were to tell you that there were many more hidden uses inside it? Back tap. Have you ever noticed that fancy Apple logo on the back of your iPhone? If you've got a cover on, go ahead and pull it off so you can check it out. Okay, you're now probably thinking, there's nothing secret about this, the obvious brand logo on my iPhone. Sure, it might not seem so special, but did you know that it's more than just a handsome decoration? It's also, as a matter of fact, a button. Don't believe me? give it a try. But before you go tapping at it like you're using your phone backward, you'll need to adjust your settings. There's a reason this handy feature is considered a secret. First, pull up your settings. Tap on Accessibility and then the Touch menu and navigate your way to the very bottom of the list, where you'll find the Back Tap button. Found it? Great! You can choose the Double Tap or Triple Tap option, whichever you prefer, and best of all, you'll have a multitude of options to choose from. You can have your Back Tap feature take a photo with your camera app, alert Siri, switch apps, and even take a screenshot. It'll make things a lot easier than performing finger gymnastics when you need to take a screenshot. Adjust Siri's pronunciations. Have you ever asked Siri to call a friend? Maybe you've said, "Siri, call Hermione," only for Siri to comply with calling Hermione. Okay, you may not have Harry Potter's best friend in your contacts list, but we can all agree it's not the easiest name to pronounce. Siri might be one of the most intelligent digital assistants in the smartphone game, and sometimes a bit of a smarty pants. But iPhone's companion can often struggle to pronounce even the most common names. If this bothers you, then you'd be delighted to hear you can actually correct Siri's pronunciations. The simplest way is to catch Siri in the act and say, "That's not how you pronounce." It will prompt Siri to ask for the correct pronunciation for each name, first, middle, and last, or the name of a place if it's not for a person. Once you've given it, Siri will generate some options, and all you have to do is pick the correct one. If your digital best friend is still struggling, it might help to spell it out. Open your contacts, select the person Siri is struggling to pronounce, and choose Edit. You can add the correct pronunciation in the Notes section using phonetic spelling and click Pronunciation Spelling to train Siri to get it right. Even a super smart digital assistant needs some help sometimes. Hey Siri, it's Leviosa, not Leviosar. Measure app. Is a toolkit too clunky to carry around? Or maybe you've forgotten which drawer you placed the measuring tape in. That's okay. iPhone has got some more secrets that will help you out. Did you know that iPhone has a few tools in its arsenal that will serve your carpentry needs? Take the Measure app, for instance. You no longer need that long, awkward-to-use floppy tape to get a measurement on your coffee table, bookshelf, or couch. The app uses augmented reality to measure objects around you using your phone's camera. The first thing you'll need to do is move your phone around so the app can analyze the area you intend to measure. You'll eventually find a white circle with a dot in the middle of your screen. From there, it's not so different from an actual measuring tape. Just line up the dot with the corner of the object you want to measure and trace it to where you want the measurement to end. If you're a builder, you might want to stick to the physical tape for more accurate measurement. This option isn't necessarily for the professionals, but the app is excellent for getting a rough estimate. The Measure app can also be used as a level. Simply switch over to the Level tab in your app and place your phone on the surface where you want to get a reading. When you get a green screen and a 0 reading, your surface is nice and level. It's not so different from the Compass app's Level feature, so you might have had some bad experiences with this feature before. With your new digital toolbox, your iPhone will make you the handiest person in the house. Create custom vibration. We all live pretty fast-paced and busy lives these days, and whether we're at work, in a movie, or at school, more often than not, we have our iPhone set to vibrate. Sure, there are some cool ringtones to choose from, but there aren't many occasions where a sudden tune coming from our pocket wouldn't distract those around us. Or worse yet, it leads to our phone being confiscated by a disgruntled employer or teacher. Luckily, there are plenty of vibration options to choose from. You probably have various ones for different occasions and different contacts. None of those settings quite your jam? Apple has a solution to this too. Another hidden feature in the iPhone is creating a custom vibration for your alerts. If you want to feel the beat to your favorite song when your best friend calls or texts, or when it's time to wake up in the morning, you create that pattern on your iPhone. Once again, you'll need to go into those handy settings, then in Sound and Haptics, choose the tone you'd like to customize. Tap Vibration. Then, create new vibration. The next step is to create those sweet vibrations like a soundless DJ by tapping your finger on the screen until you have the silent rhythm you're happy with. Now you've got a vibrate option to your liking. It might even make the early morning wake-up calls just a little more pleasant. Just like the Beach Boys, you'll be picking up good vibrations. Trackpad. With smartphones, we no longer need two hands to use a keyboard. All you need is one good thumb. Yet, it can still prove a little tedious sometimes as typos are easy to make, and all your characters can't fit all at once on that crammed keyboard at the bottom of your phone screen. You might be typing out a long body of text, only to realize you left out the R out of the word drive a few sentences back, which might give your friends the wrong idea about what you're doing. It can be a fiddly task to fix it, and it's often easiest to delete the entire word and write it all over again. Or so it may seem. If you're a stickler for good grammar in your text messages, you might want to shift your keyboard into trackpad mode for easier editing. That's right, another hidden gem on your iPhone. It's easy to access too. All you have to do is hold your finger on the space bar. All the other keys will gray out, and you'll be able to move the cursor to wherever it needs to go. Then, lift your finger off the spacebar to continue typing. Another tedium to writing on that tiny iPhone keyboard is shifting tabs to use numbers and symbols. It may not seem like much, but it's sure to be a little frustrating when you have to jump back and forth multiple times in the same message. However, there is another hidden feature in your iPhone's keyboard that will alleviate this. Hold it down instead of tapping on the numeric 1, 2, 3 tab, and it will bring up the Numbers and Symbols tab. As long as you're holding it, the tab will remain open to pick your character, and releasing will return you to letters. Soon, you'll be fast enough to write a novel on your smartphone. Did you ever tie a string between two plastic cups so you could talk to your friend from opposite ends of your home? It may have seemed pretty cool at the time, but that plastic cup couldn't tell you the weather or let you send an email, right? Indeed, we've come a long way since the string telephone. In fact, can you even imagine life before smartphones? They have become almost like our clothes or the shoes we walk in. It's almost our consistent accessory. Now you know some of these handy secrets, and you'll be an iPhone Pro. However, if these secrets aren't for you, there's always the string telephone. At least it won't run out of charge.
Yeah, you're up. It's 2 a.m. and you can't sleep. Here we go again. Off you go to the sofa in an attempt to get drowsy enough to go back to bed. The clock's ticking and it's already 5 a.m. Your eyes are tired and yet you still can't sleep. Finally, an hour later, you head back to bed and finally drift off. Okay, let's fix that and make sure you get a good night's sleep. First, let's prepare your bedroom so it becomes the perfect sleep-inducing place. Your bed needs to be of a good quality, good enough that when you lay on it, you feel a sense of relaxation flow through your body. A good pillow is important too, to properly support your spine. There are different pillows, thick, thin, firm, soft. Try out a few and find out what's best for you. Lighting is important, so if your room still has a bit of light in it, even at midnight, it might be one of the reasons you can't sleep well. Go ahead and close those drapes shut. Oh look, you did that, and they're still letting light in. Don't worry. Pick out some thick black curtains and put those up instead. That'll do the trick. Okay, even if that doesn't do it, buy a sleep mask to place over your eyes when you hit the sack. Now, you need to find the right temperature. It's likely you won't have a thermostat on hand, but the trick is to make sure your room is neither the Sahara Desert nor the North Pole. Right in the middle is where you want it. Let's talk lights. After waking up, get some bright light on your face as soon as you can. You'll become more alert, but also sleep better at night. That's because our body has a pretty awesome internal clock. This internal clock is called the circadian rhythm, and simply put, our body tells us when we should wake up and when we should go to bed. Being in the sun or exposed to bright lights keeps this internal clock healthy. When it's working right and you're in bed about to sleep, you'll fall asleep much faster than before. If you can't always be in the sun, that's okay. Grab a few bright light bulbs and spread them around your house. There's also another trick to expose yourself to bright lights if you want to try it. Buy yourself a light therapy box. These little things simulate sunshine and are especially useful on those ridiculously short, cloudy, cold winter days. So, you, me, everyone, we all have the habit of staying on our phone until the last minute. If that's not you, how about the TV or your computer? Everyone's plugged into something these days. Sorry, but this is not contributing to a good night's sleep for you. The best thing you can do is choose a bedtime, then set an alarm for around 1 to 2 hours before that. When it goes off, it's your sign to turn off all those electric devices. Well, you don't have to turn them off, but at least stop using them. That blue light coming out of those screens can be pretty disruptive. Instead, pick up a book. Remember those? There'll be a chance you'll fall asleep with it on your face. You might even dream about it. Exercise also helps you sleep better at night. Now's the time to dust off those dumbbells you got laying around. No, I'm not talking about any roommates. But probably the best type of exercise to improve the quality of your sleep is cardio. Go out to the park and run around for a while. No more feeling like you want to take a nap in the middle of the day. Exercise helps you stay awake throughout the day and sleep better through the night. As for naps, be careful with those. That pillow you left on your sofa for that perfect 4 p.m. nap, get rid of it. And in general, avoid naps after 3 p.m. If you really want to take a nap, do it earlier in the afternoon. Use an alarm and only sleep for 15 or 20 minutes. You don't want to overdo it and be drowsy for the rest of the day. You're looking at the ceiling, trying to fall asleep. Something's not right. Is it supposed to be spinning? You're feeling dizzy all of a sudden. There's an easy solution to this. Scooch over to the side of your bed and place one of your feet on the ground. You'll feel better after a few deep breaths. Late in the day caffeine is a no-no. It stays in your bloodstream for about 6 to 8 hours. If you're one of those people that drinks a cup of coffee and gets really energetic, try not to do it after 3 or 4 p.m. We've all done a late-night fridge run. Milk and cookies are a classic, but I prefer, well, I'll take anything. As it turns out, that's not really helping your mission to sleep better. But there was a study that discovered that if you eat a meal rich in carbs 4 hours before bed, it helps you sleep. Except, another study said that a low-carb diet might help sleep too. The best thing to do is see what works for you. Once you find that perfect sweet spot, you can go ahead and sit at the dinner table without feeling guilty. This next tip involves water. Bath water, to be specific. A shower or bath, as long as it's hot, can definitely help you fall asleep faster. Not only that, but it might help you reach a deeper state of sleep. Not so deep that nothing will wake you, but deep enough for you to wake up good as new. Nocturia. It almost sounds like a magical spell, but it's just what specialists call it when you have to use the bathroom a lot at night. No, that's not magical. We've all had those moments. It feels like the biggest decision of your life. Get out of bed or tough it out. So the best way to prevent this is not to drink liquids before bed. Altogether? Duh. It's super easy, just link it to your no electronics rule. When you wake up, have a tall glass of room temperature water. It'll kickstart your day and help your body feel fresh and rejuvenated. Plus, you just need to rehydrate. You're in bed, but all you're able to do is look at the ceiling, waiting to fall asleep. When that happens, it's better to accept that you just can't sleep right now. Try not to stay in bed for too long, frustrated and angry. You might start mentally linking your frustration to your bed or bedroom. You don't want to have any negative feelings whenever you look at what should be the most relaxing spot in the house. The best thing to do when this happens is to get up. Do something relaxing. Go to your living room and look out the window for a couple of minutes. Avoid looking at the clock. You really don't want to think about sleeping while you're trying to distract yourself from it. When you least expect it, you'll be sleepy again, ready to cover yourself in your bed sheets to get those perfect 8 hours. If you like to write, and it's just one of those nights where nothing's working and your head feels like it's about to burst, go sit at your desk, open a notepad, and write your worries away. It might even help to keep a sleep diary. Okay, here's an exercise that can help you sleep while you're in bed. It's a type of body scan exercise. First, lie flat on your back with your legs uncrossed. Place your arms by your sides and try to relax them as much as you can. Now, close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Focus on it for about 2 minutes. That should be enough for you to start feeling relaxed. The next step is to focus on your toes. Check them all and see if you feel any tension down there. Now, picture a river flowing down from your mouth and nose, flowing gently through your entire body, going all the way down to and out of your toes. Breathe deeply and then start letting your breath become softer and softer. Do this with the soles of your feet, then your ankles, calves, knees, thighs. Keep going until you reach your hips. Remember to keep imagining a river flowing through your body. Warning: if you've consumed too much liquid before bedtime, then that river imagery is going to trigger some urgencies other than going to sleep. Lastly, you can do some soft yoga or meditate. The goal here is to help you control your breathing to release stress. Picture this: you're now a master of breathing exercises, and when you close your eyes, you just exhale, and all of your worries disappear. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.